Morning. It's 9:23. Next time we start exactly on the dot. We just waited for the others to arrive, and I also arrived a few minutes later than 9, and that should not be. I apologize, and I accept the apologies of those who were late as well. So just to be sure that next time we are here before 9 a.m., and I say that including myself, and we start on time. Yes. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Maswerte na sa session hall tayo para mas maaliwalas ang ating view. Okay. I now call the Committee on Higher Technical and Vocational Education to order, and we welcome our partners in education reform. The Commission on Higher Education, led by Chair Dr. Shirley Agrupis.
Good morning
to see you
po.
again. Good morning. For the past how many weeks, we've seen each other quite often, right? In both private consultations, dialogue, in the Board of Regents, in the finance meetings, etc. We're here to help each other, help you, especially that you have been a chair of an SUC that I have helped when I was chairman of the Committee on Finance. So we also take note, before I even start, that Dr. Agrupis had declared, committed to fill in the gaps of all state universities and colleges, because we take note that the free tertiary education that I, as one of the co-authors, enacted way back in 2017 has not been fully funded since 2022, I believe, because the formula being used by the executive, I believe it's DBM, was short of the prospective number of students who will be enrolling. So it is not fair to the state universities and colleges that there are trainings, programs, and even students in need who are turned away, and programs that are not continued, supported because of the shortfall. And that is around 12.3 billion, a part of which will come from the CHED. And we are very, very grateful for our not just cooperative but forward-thinking CHED Chair, Dr. Shirley Agrupis. I put this on record so that we start on a positive note, seeing how agencies of government can help each other, and so that this formula in computing for the number of students in state universities and colleges is corrected, revised, so that in 2026 it is corrected already, and the CHED would not have to use and fill up the gaps in the coming years. So we thank you for that, Dr. Agrupis. The Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, led by a former congressman from my region, but you're now in NIR, and EDCOM 2 Commissioner, now Secretary Kiko Benitez. We would like to hear, of course, what are your priority measures, if any. If it's not legislation that's needed, I think more than policies and legislation, it's really the implementation of our technical vocational programs and how they can be attuned or aligned with the employment opportunities in our country. We would like to hear from you as well. And the second Congressional Commission on Education, led by Executive Director, is he here, Dr. Carl Markey. Oh, you're there. Yes, of course, our very competent and hardworking EDCOM 2 Chair. Perhaps you can advise us on the priority measures that you want us to file, if I've not filed it yet. But I think I've filed so many bills already. It's a matter of prioritizing which should be heard first. The Philippine Association of State Universities and Colleges. I don't see Dr. Ronquillo here yet.
Online, ma'am.
He's online from BSU in Batangas. Dr. Tirso Ronquillo. Yes, hello. Are you online, Dr. Ronquillo? Kamusta po kayo?
Magandang umaga po, Madam Chair of our new chair of the Committee
Opo.
on Higher and Technical Vocational Education, Senate. Senator Lon Legarda. Magandang
Salamat
umaga
po.
po. We express our support to your chairmanship of
Salamat
the
po.
Committee on Higher and Technical Education. We are also thankful of your efforts in the past week since your assumption to office. You high-handedly attended the concerns of SUC, and we thank you for that, Madam Chair. Salamat po.
Nasaan po kayo ngayon? Which campus? Nasugbo?
I'm actually, Madam Chair, I'm now in Biliran Province. I will be speaking in a
Biliran.
conference here.
Biliran.
Opo, Biliran.
Opo, sa Region 8.
Biliran Province,
Yes,
State
okay.
University.
Together with Senator Bam Aquino, we welcome you from Biliran. Kamustahin po kami sa mga taga Region 8. Senator Bam
Opo.
Aquino is here to join us. Thank you very much. The author
But,
as
Madam
well.
Chair,
Yes.
to attend on behalf of PASOK physically, I may introduce to you and our colleagues there, Dr. Bert Huga, the PASOK Vice President for NCR. He is there to attend physically, and may possibly
Yes.
interrupt. I sent our position paper through him, and also Attorney Luz Luminda Rosales, our PASOK legal officer. They are there physically attending.
Nandito po
Madam
sila.
Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr.
Salamat
Ronquillo.
po.
We formally recognize the presence and we're grateful for the support of Senator Bam Aquino.
Good morning.
Morning. The Association of Local Colleges and Universities, led by Dr. Raimundo Arcega. Yes, kamusta po kayo? My first time to meet you. But we would also like to understand the creation of local colleges and the budgets given and the shortfall. Will this include only SUCs or local colleges as well? In my understanding, it's only the SUCs, but we will clarify that later. All other institutions and stakeholders present with us today, you will be recognized later on by the committee secretary. So at this organizational meeting, let us be reminded that we are here for one purpose, to ensure that every learner, regardless of their background or socio-economic circumstances, deserves the opportunity to build a dignified life through education. We aim to make quality education genuinely accessible and to align learning with livelihood so that the knowledge gained in our classrooms translates into decent and meaningful work. This requires constant dialogue and commitment among all of us here today. And so we will begin with the briefings of CHED, then TESDA, to be followed by the discussion of 3 measures before us. But I'm not dictating this. I would like to seek your better judgment, and our vice chair, you're my vice chair, right? Our chair of basic education, Senator Bam Aquino. But these are the measures before us, extending the duration of EDCOM 2. Of course, we need Dr. Yee and his diligent team. Amending RA 10931, the Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education, and the Local Universities and Colleges Governance Bill. So these are the measures, but give me everything filed so far under the committee, because we may amend it, yes. So before we proceed with the briefings, I'd like to request our committee secretary, Ms. Clea Di Nava, to acknowledge our distinguished resource persons. But perhaps even before that, we would like to request Senator Aquino to give an opening statement if he wishes to. Thank you.
Magandang araw sa ating lahat. Good morning to everybody. Chairperson Shirley, TESDA SecGen Secretary Kiko, SecGen po, tama no? Correct, no? Director General, sorry. TESDA Director General Secretary Kiko. To everyone here, magandang umaga. We'd like to thank, of course, Senator Lauren for having this hearing. We know that the committee is in good hands with her, and alongside our other colleagues, we're here to really do our best to support and enhance RA 10931 and other concerns of our state universities, local universities, and even private universities in higher education. Alam ho natin na malaking bagay yung 10931 in previous years, but we also know that the implementation needs more support. No? Mas marami ho tayong mga reforma pa na kailangan gawin. Yung integration ng TESDA with our concerns and our goals for higher education needs to be better done. We do have a lot of concerns when it comes to our scholarships. In the last hearing with the SUCs, also well done by the Chairperson on Finance and Senator Lauren was there. We expressed our concern about the lowering of the budget for the TES or the Tertiary Education Subsidy, how it has gone down for the past 2 years. At yung balak po natin ay itaas po ito. Balak po natin na imungkahi sa Chairperson of Finance na itaas yung TES. Siguraduhin na yung mga mahihirap na estudyante na nasa 4Ps ay mabibigyan ng tulong, gawa po ng TES. At yung iba pang mga estudyante na posibleng wala naman sa 4Ps pero nangangailangan rin ng tulong, ay maganda rin na nabibigyan ng tulong ng gobyerno mula po sa programang ito. So later on, Dr. Shirley, you said na we will talk about it later on. Ito na po yung later on. Magandang mapag-usapan yung tulong-dunong, yung TES, yung iba pang mga scholarships ng gobyerno para maintindihan natin sino ba yung pwede mag-avail nito, paano ba mag-avail dito, at kung nabibigyan ba talaga yung mga nangangailangan. No? Kasi yung tertiary education subsidy po, on the first year of implementation of the Free College Act, ang nabibigyan po niyan, hindi lang yung mga 4Ps, hindi lang yung mga estudyante sa mga SUC, kung hindi pati rin yung mga mahihirap na estudyante sa ating private universities, pati rin sa TESDA actually, may test rin na napupunta sa TESDA. And through the past 2 years, pababa po yung budget na to. So we want to understand bakit bumababa yung budget, bumababa rin yung per head na nabibigay sa mga estudyante over the past 3 or 4 years. We want to also understand why it's going down. And alam rin po natin, on the ground, nakakarinig din tayo ng mga kwento na nabigyan ng tulong nung unang taon, nung pangalawang taon, hindi na nabigyan ng tulong, kaya nag-drop out. No? At yan po yung ayaw na ayaw po natin. Or nabigyan ng tulong ng 2 taon, lumiit, nung pangatlong taon, kaya napilitang mag-drop out. Palagay ko po yung isang magandang ilagay sa budget o kung hindi man po sa mga pag-aamenda ng 10931 ay dapat po siguro kung meron kang test on the first year at ganito yung presyo o ganito yung halaga, dapat siguro 4 years na yan. No? Para meron kang kasiguruduhan na meron kang tulong na makakamit. At the same time, yung amount na yan, dapat rin siguro hindi bumababa. Kasi pag binababa po natin yan, at alam natin kung gaano kahalaga yung tulong sa edukasyon sa napakaraming pamilya, kapag binababa po yan, nagugulo talaga yung pamilya. Yung mga magulang na noon umaasa dito sa tulong na ito, suddenly, kailangan umutang, kailangan maghanap ng bagong trabaho, kailangan mag-abroad, dahil walang kasiguruduhan dun sa scholarship na dapat nakukuha ng mga anak po nila. So, ito po yung mga nais ko pong malaman, and I hope that by December, by the time that we pass the budget, we will have an even a clearer scholarship program for higher ed. Sinasabi ko na pong scholarship program, Chair Shirley, no, hindi lang TES kasi nalaman ko rin na marami palang iba't ibang pinagkukuhanan ng scholarships. No? So we want to have a comprehensive scholarship program going into the 2026 budget na kung saan mas malaki yung pondo, mas maraming nakakakuha, at yung tulong na hinahanap ng mga estudyante natin at mga pamilya po nila, nakakamit po nila. No? So we hope we can share all of this data today. Kung hindi pa naman po may bibigay lahat ng data pagdating sa finance hearing on CHED, pwede na naman po doon natin pag-usapan. No? But magandang simulan na po natin ngayon yung proseso. Let's find out already magkano ba yung total na scholarships for higher education, saan ba ito nakaalat, sino ba yung mga dapat makakuha nito, at paano ito nakakamit. At kung patas ba yung pagkamit ng mga scholarships na ito. My primary concern is really with CHED, but if Secretary Kiko also wants to share how they do it in TESDA, that would also be very welcome. Because my understanding is that we intend to really bring together the worlds of CHED and TESDA for even closer coordination para marami pong choices yung mga kabataan natin pagdating sa higher education sa kanilang buhay. So yun lang po, Chairperson. Maraming salamat po, Senator Lauren.
Thank you, Senator Aquino. We take note of the decelerating amount for tests, but we also take note that there are SICA, congressional amendments, even senators' amendments. It's been demonized as insertions, but they're actually very good amendments where we amend and add in the national budget, the GAA, scholarships for college students, sometimes not through CHED, through tulong-dunong or TES, but directly to the state university and colleges. So when the CHED explains later on their net budget that may be going down, we also take note of the amendments or the addition, augmentation that are done by both congressmen and senators so that they have scholarships in all 114 including UP, or selected state universities and colleges in the respective district. And I myself would say that in the past years, on my fourth term, I've endeavored to include additional budgets for state universities and colleges. It is called a Senate amendment where I put 1 million or at least a little bit more, so 113 million in addition to the total General Appropriations Act. I say this in all transparency and so that the state universities are also accountable for the students they will select, who aside from the Free Tertiary Education Act have free, libre na ang matrikula, pero syempre ang transportasyon, dormitoryo, pagkain at lahat ng pangangailangan ay kailangan ng estudyante. And it's good to include more scholarships because I just came from Nueva Vizcaya State University when it was signal number 3 last Friday. And talagang lalo na yung mga katutubo na pamilya na mga bata at galing sa bundok o sa iba't ibang IP areas outside of the province, walang matitirahan. Tumitira na nga sa bahay ng mga guro minsan. Hindi naman sapat ang dormitoryo. So kailangan talaga ng karagdagang scholarship allowance galing man sa TES, tulong-dunong, or diretso sa SUC o sa Unifas. Kaya nga alamin natin lahat, paano natin ibibigyan ng liwanag, maari bang isang pangalan na lang kasi confusing. At meron din ang DOST na sa SEI, the Science scholarships. Meron din. In fact, may staff ako nakapasa ng science scholarship. And marami akong kwentong narinig talaga. That's true, nag-drop out. Bakit? Kasi magbibigay ng amendment for 1 year because the GAA year is 1 year. You cannot put an amendment pang-4 na taon dahil mag-expire naman yung pondo sa susunod na fiscal year by December. And so what if that senator or congressman is no longer in office? And so the student will no longer have a source of the scholarship allowance. So we put this on record so that people would know that congressional insertion SICA or Senate amendments or even Congress amendments are not just important, Senator Bam, inaantay ng mga tao at talagang kailangan. At sasabihin ko, lahat po ng state universities at colleges ay humihingi ng dagdag sa kanilang budget. Hindi lamang sa scholarships, kundi na rin kamukha ng sinabi nyo, yung back pay that is supposedly given to them. Pati infrastructure na hinihingi para sa kanilang mga dormitoryo, sa kanilang mga faculty centers, sa kanilang mga silid aralan, many more, and laboratories, etc. So I say that to set the record for this hearing today. Senator Aquino.
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. And for the record, the first year of implementation of the Free College Law was the first budget was actually through Senate amendment. Senator Lacson, Senator Legarda, Senator Gatchalian, myself, and a few others, if I'm not mistaken, all worked together to look for the budget, amended the NEP, basically, and found space for the first year of the Free College Law. Kasi nauna po yung...
Magandang pinuntos mo yan. Yung maganda yung pinuntos mo. Totoo yan. The year before the law was passed, ay si Senator Lacson may kinwestiyon sa ibang ahensya na 8 billion at chairman ako ng finance, chair ka naman ng standing committee, I think, ng edukasyon. And Senator Gatchalian was on his first year again as well. And it was like an amendment of many senators, but basically us as chairman of finance. And that's a big amendment. Ako po ay naglagay ng 8 billion para sa libreng kolehiyo bago pa maisabatas. At napatunayan natin nun na kaya palang mapondohan. Kaya napasa natin yung batas mid-year, susunod na taon, at bilang chairman ng finance, nahanapan natin ng 40 billion. So, itong free tertiary education ay nagsimula sa Senate amendment na tinatawag ng iba ng insertion, pero hindi ko masasabing insertion. Well, we inserted it in the budget. Kailangan, the same. Amendment, insertion, dagdag, whatever you call it, it's the same thing. Dahil tungkulin natin, ayon sa konstitusyon, ang siyasatin ang budget, bawasan, dagdagan, ilipat. At yan ang ating tungkulin. Nangyari na ba sa buhay mo, Senator Bam, na yung NEP, National Expenditure Program, na dumaan ng Kongreso naging General Appropriations Bill, na naging batas sa General Appropriations Act, na hinding-hindi ka nagbasa, nag-aral, at nag-amenda o nag-insert? Sa ilang taon mo sa Senado, gumawa ka na ba, may taon na ba, na hindi ka nakialam sa budget at wala kang amendment and or insertion?
Senator, actually, trabaho natin yan.
Yeah, so ginagawa
And
mo,
in
trabaho
fact,
mo. Yeah.
pangako ko na po ito, even before joining the Senate, na itataas natin yung budget sa classrooms. Yes. Itataas natin yung budget for scholarships, yung TESD, kasi 2 years na po itong pababa. Popondohan natin yung feeding program ng DepEd na napakahalaga talaga. Napakarami po niyan. And I know all of if the SUCs are here or they're listening, marami rin po sa kanila nagre-request ng tulong for more facilities and more support, no? So, Chairperson Agrupis and I met many weeks ago, and sinabi ko na po yan sa kanya na we will do our best to increase the budget for scholarships. Itataas po natin to, ibabalik po natin to the 2024 level or even higher, because for 2025 and for 2026, pababa po ito. At hindi po yun acceptable sa akin at sa maraming senador na pababa yung scholarships natin. Itataas po natin yan, and we will make sure na mas maraming kabataan ang makakakuha ng tulong. And yan po ay pag-amendya. We are changing the budget because may nakikita po tayong mas mahalagang bagay, at yun yung pagtaas ng mga pondo na pwedeng makatulong sa mga kabataan natin.
Thank you very much for helping me clarify para mabigyan ng kaliwanagan ang issue ng Congressional Senate amendments na tinatawag ng iba ng insertion. Pero mula nung simula nung panahon ko hanggang ngayon, ang tawag ko amendment eh. Kasi yun ang tamang salita. Kung saan man along the way NEP to GAB sa House, naging congressman ako 1 term. Or GAB to GAA, Senators Amendments. Lahat yan, ini-insert sa budget kasi hindi naman yung original budget ang magiging batas. So lahat yan, in a way, pag maluwag ang salita, insertion, pero actually, ang tawag sa kanya, amendment. Yun, para maliwanag. Senator Bam, before we ask them to present as well, I'd like to put on record, in my understanding, the more than 255 billion that was taken out of the flood control budget in the House of Representatives was allocated to what they believed to be more important utilization of resources. However, the state universities and colleges advised me that hindi po naisama ang mga SUCs sa pag-allocate ng budget. So it looks like you and I, along with our colleague Senator Sherwin, with his permission as Chair of Finance, would have to help amend this budget dahil walang SUCs ang nakinabang dito. Thank you.
And Chairperson, no, and gusto ko rin itong banggitin po sa mga kasama natin sa education sector. Of course, sila Carol are here for EDCOM. Ang naibabalita is that 26 billion out of the 260 billion ang ilalagay sa edukasyon. And that's too small. Masyadong maliit po yun. Ang expectation po natin is closer to 30 to even 40 or 50% of the flood control budget should go to education. So ano po yan? Tingnan natin kung ano yung magiging proseso namin ni Senator Loren, but I know that many senators are with us that a bigger chunk, a bigger portion of the flood control budget should go to education. Yes.
Just to be clear, maybe a part of it was given to education but none to higher education. I am told, and I have the list, I don't want to preempt the list, none. I was told by all the SUC presidents and by CHED, wala pong nailaan sa higher education. And so it is incumbent upon us to put a higher budget coming from that source to higher education as well. Please help me there.
Yes. Senator Loren,
Okay.
the other thing I'd like to mention is that pinag-uusapan lang natin yung 260 billion ng flood control. Siyempre, pag binusisi mo yung buong budget, may mahahanap pa tayo dyan na pwedeng ilagay sa edukasyon. So, definitely, there should be a bigger portion of that 260 that goes to education. Kung ako nga tutusin, dapat lahat na lang yan, ilagay na lang sa edukasyon. Ganun po kalala yung ating krisis sa edukasyon ngayon. But, let's say malimita tayo dun sa 260 ng flood control, yung pangunahing dokumento, which is the NEP, marami pa rin po tayong mahahanapan dyan na pwedeng bawasan, na baka hindi naman kailangan, at ilagay natin sa edukasyon, ilagay po natin sa scholarship, ilagay natin sa classroom, ilagay natin sa feeding program. Yung mga priorities po ng gobyerno pagdating sa edukasyon, yun po dapat yung pinopondohan po natin.
Thank you. And the last point, because from our hearings, we see that most, if not all, whether it's farm-to-market roads or DepEd classrooms or health centers, which are implemented by the Department of Public Works and Highways, not in my words, in their own, most, some, perhaps all, ayokong lahatin, pero sa kanila nanggaling, ay marked up, meaning mas mahal. Hindi lang natin natuklasan ngayon, alam natin. Kung ganun po ang presyo, hindi ba karapat-dapat lamang na bawasan ang budget pero ganun pa rin ang kanilang program of works at implementasyon? Let's say minus 20%. And that 20%, assuming the budget is 700 billion and 20% will be 140 billion. And that those resources can be put in higher and basic education. So my point is, kung hindi natin bawasan yun, tinanggal lang yung flood control, pero ikaw na nagsabi na hindi lang naman sa flood control, may paghahanapan iba. Paano yung FMR? Paano yung mga health center na inaamin lang hindi umaandar at ibang overpriced? Paano pa yung iba na overpriced? So hindi dapat tanggalin yung FAT at yung FAT na yon ilagay sa basic services, sa edukasyon, both basic and higher ed. So I put that on record, and we will hear now the opening statement of CHED and TESDA as well. So I put that on record, the 2 points. I believe it will be the Senate's position that the 255 billion higher education must be given as well, and perhaps a bigger portion for basic education. And second, when we skin or take out the fat from the possible sources of corruption, hindi ko po linalahat, we're not prejudging, but it came from the output of the hearings, then perhaps to avoid corruption, you just take out a portion that is prone to corruption, and then it can be placed in education. Please help me in that. And of course, the chair of finance will be in charge of that realignment or reallocation. So thank you. We hear from Dr. Shirley Agrupis and former Congressman Director General Benitez. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am. Our Madam Chair of the Higher Tech Voc Education, Senator Lauren Legarda. our champion in higher education, Senator Aquino, the chair of the Committee on Basic Education, distinguished members of the committee, our data advisor, EDCOM 2 Executive Director, Dr. Carol Markey, CHED's partner for the seamless education pathways for every Filipino learners, TESDA Secretary Kiko Benitez, our higher education support group, of course, I should not fail to mention the Department of Budget and Management, and our academic community partners, both in the government and private HEIs, para sa matuwid na daan. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Thank you, Madam Chair, for this opportunity to present later on the Commission on Higher Education Directions and Priority. We consider this meeting a milestone because this is the opportunity for us to present the new direction of the Commission on Higher Education. It is our mandate that under the vision of a bagong Pilipinas, CHED is pursuing reforms that make higher education not only accessible, but also equitable, excellent, and future-ready. We are modernizing our systems, strengthening our institutions, and ensuring that every policy, program, and partnerships contributes meaningfully to national progress. We are ensuring, Madam Chair and our beloved Senator Aquino, that our programs and policies are data-driven and needs-based. So later on, I will be presenting our direction and our humble accomplishment in our more than 100 days under the new CHED leadership. Again, marami pong salamat.
Thank you, Chair Agrupis. May we hear from TESDA, BG.
Magandang
Thank
umaga
you.
po, Chair Legarda, Senator Aquino, to all the education stakeholders and partners here. It's always a welcome opportunity when we gather together because actually I believe this is a historic period for Philippine education as a whole, pushed perhaps by our favorite frenemy, as Chair Agrupis calls the EDCOM people, because coming from the other side of the aisle, now on the executive side, I realize how difficult it is pala to have Executive Director Carol Markey giving your legislators data, no, from which to question the implementation of certain policies. But certainly, TESDA is an active proponent, no, of all the education reforms, and as a what's the word, foregrounding, I suppose. Sa lahat po ng education agencies, kami po ang pinakamaliit na budget. At needless to say, if we are talking about TES specifically, it often feels like DBM forgets that we are also part of tertiary education. So we are hoping and we're grateful that this year, for next year, that Department of Management has, budget and management has increased our universal access to quality tertiary education funding and almost doubled it from where it is normally. However, I would like to flag that given the data and the demands from our favorite frenemy, even that mom is insufficient, no, to address the universe of those that might otherwise be able to benefit from free TVET in tertiary education. I will be presenting at some point after Chair Shirley, of course, the general terrain of TESDA and TVET in the country, and I think many of the questions that Senator Aquino had will probably be already at least touched on, if not explained in the presentation. So I look forward for this morning's hearing.
Thank you, DG Benitez. We'd like to hear from Pasok, an opening statement on the bills that we are discussing today. And after Pasok, the local government colleges, and then from EDCOM. Thank you. Pasok Chair online. If not, we will hear from the
Hello.
Vice President.
Good morning, Madam
Yes, good
Chair.
morning. Yes.
Thank you for this opportunity, Senator Loren, of course, our new chair of Committee on Higher Education. Of course, we also recognize the support of Senator Aquino, who is also with us in this forum, in this meeting. Our partner also, the Commission on Higher Education, the partner of SUCs in pursuing reforms in higher education, headed by our friend, Dr. Shirley Grupis, all the commissioners, to all of you, good morning po. PASOK is appreciative of what the institutions of government are doing now, the Senate, the Congress, and the Commission on Higher Education, in really addressing the gaps. I think in the last few weeks, we worked together and we see a brighter future for our students in state universities and colleges. Much are expected of us, state universities and colleges, but we feel less is given as input to our system. And I think we are now here to address these gaps. On the bills sent to us for some revision, PASOK is appreciative of this opportunity to give our comments, and in appropriate time, we'll be discussing one by one our position on several measures as proposed by the Committee on Higher and Technical Vocational Education, particularly on the possible extension of the EDCOM 2, the creation of the Permanent Education Cabinet Cluster, and some possible revision or amendment of the universal access to quality tertiary education. We will be submitting our position paper, Madam Chair, and in the discussion, we are looking forward to shed light on some issues on our position on the matter. So, Madam Chair, I again thank you for giving us a space or opportunity to express our views and our insights on the proposed measures. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Ronquillo. May we hear from the local colleges head, please, President? Dr. Arcega.
A pleasant morning to everyone. Thank you so much for inviting local colleges in this deliberation where we find the UNIFAS free education, EDCOM 2 and 3 creation, and so with the Governance Act for LCUs, very critical for us. We tried to reconcile, Madam Chair, the proposed bill, that of Senator Lauren Legarda, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Escudero, and Senator Hontiveros. We find some differentiating provisions, but we're happy to see most unifying provisions. The strength we find initially from the bill of Senator Lauren Legarda, it put emphasis that there shouldn't be separation between tech, voc, and higher education. We're happy to see in her proposal that there can be tech, voc integrated in the curriculum. Initially, I got the chance to talk with Secretary Benitez and telling him during our Manila event that I find it very necessary to integrate tech, voc courses, part of a 40-degree course, to really make so that the students will not think like tech voc is just inferior to higher education. And I find it in the proposal of Senator Legarda. In fact, in her proposal, she differentiated Polytechnic Institute from college to a university. And among those 4 proposals, you find it very strong, a very strong signal that tech voc shouldn't be one separated from higher education. We're also happy to find in today's deliberation discussions relating to EDCOM 2 and 3, though this early ALCO has reservation in the creation of EDCOM 3 that we will register in a while. For higher education, UNIFAS free education, we have our own experiences of gaps, distortion, discrimination, and I'm so happy Senator Bam and Senator Legarda for putting this into a discussion. Today, if you see both maybe SUCs and local universities, we're not receiving the same amount of free education. You'll see LUCs receiving 1,000 per student, You see naman other LUCs with 25,000 and then 30,000. We have 13,000. How can we expect to have quality education, relevant, inclusive, and equitable if the amount of free education provided to LUCs is not the same? So I find this session a very enlightening session for us to share with you and to support the claim of Senator Bam that many have been forced to leave schools because they cannot sustain their enrollment in local university. I'm talking only for LUCs. I'd like to believe it's also applicable to SUC, that not all SUCs similar to LUCs are receiving the same free education. And while we claim to have our higher education inclusive, how can it be inclusive if the amount of subsidy given to each and every higher education is not the same while we're taking the same courses? Imagine a school of a local college with engineering, education, psychology, and criminology receiving about 3,500 per sem compared to one receiving 30,000, 25, higher by many times to that of other local and SUCs. We cannot expect the same outcome and the same result of board examination. So once again, Senator Lauren, thank you so much for inviting us, and we look forward to a very exciting session today.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you mentioned about the extension of EDCOM 2. May we hear from Dr. Carol Marquis, and perhaps that should be first on the agenda because we'd like to focus on the extension of EDCOM 2 so that upon assumption in November, I can sponsor it and hopefully it can be enacted into law before the end of the year with the support of Senator Bam. I hope this has also been filed in the lower house. Yes, and I hope it should move there as well so that we finish everything before December. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We're lucky to have both our co-chairs of EDCOM here, Senator Bam and Senator Lauren, in their roles also as chairs of the respective committees on education in the Senate. We'd also like to acknowledge that Chair Legarda has filed 7 of the most critical bills in higher education that was proposed and agreed by the EDCOM commissioners, and 3 of which we will discuss today. The amendments to RA 10931, particularly on the tertiary education subsidy, the Lux Governance Act, and also the EDCOM 2 extension. The other critical bills include the amendments to the charters of CHED and TESDA, which were actually birthed from the first EDCOM in the 1990s. Kaya pareho po silang 1994. There have been a lot of developments, a lot of changes in the context of our education system and our learners that are not as responsive anymore in terms of the current charters of both agencies, which is why after the hearings with CHED and TESDA by EDCOM, it was decided that such amendments will be filed, and we are grateful for the leadership of our co-chairs in filing these bills. I think we also just want to highlight the importance of the budget as was discussed by our co-chairs. Marami pong compounded deficits talaga sa education system natin, sa basic ed at sa higher education at sa TechVoc. At kulang po talaga yung 27 billion kasi sa classrooms pa lang, napakarami ng backlog na kailangan pong tugunan. Kasama pa dyan yung mga na-earthquake last week, yung mga nasisira because of typhoon, among others. Pagdating po sa budget sa higher education, we also just want to highlight yung moratorium ng tuition fee ng SUCs since 2018, more than 5 years na kailangan na talaga pong tapusin through the composite fee from CHED, as well as the optimal carrying capacity of SUCs also being done by Unifast. Kasi important po yun kasi despite inflation, 5 years na pong hindi nagbabago ang tuition fee ng mga SUCs. So something to look at apart from the needed additional resources for the tertiary education subsidy. So these are all very timely and much awaited reforms, and we are glad that on the 3rd year of EDCOM, we have reached this point that it is very clear what the solutions are, and the legislative measures to be able to tackle them are now in the committee for discussion and hopefully resolution in this Congress. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much. The committee secretary will take note of all of those who are present here today, after which we will hear the comments on the extension. First, we do the EDCOM extension. Then after this, we can do the committee report for the extension of EDCOM 2. Then I can sponsor it, not on Friday, in November, yes. But first, all those who are present online and present here live. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We would like to acknowledge the presence of our distinguished guests and resource persons. From the Commission on Higher Education, we have Dr. Shirley Agrupis. We also have Commissioner Dr. Desiderio Apag III, Dr. Marita Canapi, Commissioner, and Attorney Cinderella Filipina Benitez Haro, Executive Director. From the Department of Budget and Management, we have Assistant Secretary Mary Ann Z. De La Vega, Budget Preparation and Execution Group. From the Department of Education, we have Undersecretary Attorney Filimon Ray Javier and Assistant Secretary Janir Datukan, Assistant Secretary for Learning Systems Strand. From the Department of Social Welfare and Development, DSWD, we have Assistant Secretary Marites Maristela, National Household Targeting System and Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino. From the TESDA, Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, we have Secretary Jose Francisco Benitez. He is joined by Deputy Director General Avelino Tolentino III, Finance and Legal Affairs, DDG Vidal Villanueva III, TSDS Operation, DDG Rosana Ordaneta, Policies and Planning, DDG Nita Deliera, Partnership and Community-Based TVET, DDG Felizardo Colombo, Special Concerns. From the Department of Economy, Planning and Development, we have Undersecretary Glenda Rumor, Legislative Affairs, and online we are joined by Dr. Terso Ronquillo, Philippine Association of State Universities and Colleges President. Physically, we are joined by PASOK Vice President Dr. Bert Tuga. We have the Executive Director of the Technical Secretariat, 2nd Congressional Commission on Education, Dr. Carol Marquis. From the Association of Local Colleges and Universities, we have their President, Dr. Raimundo Arcega. From the University of Makati, we have President Elixir Ramos. That's all, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know that each agency has a presentation. Can you kindly submit your presentation's soft copy to our offices? And since we know more or less what you are about to say, we can go to the questions already. But I'd like to start, with the permission of my co-chair, with the EDCOM 2, so that we already finish the issue of the extension of EDCOM. Yes. Give us, please, Dr. Yee, the justification for the extension of EDCOM 2, and are all the outputs of the present EDCOM already shared with the institutions that need to know it?
Yes, ma'am.
What are the actions, recommendations that need to be taken to effect the recommendations?
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So, based on RA 11899, the mandate of EDCOM is for 3 years to do research and then to propose policy recommendations and legislative measures that will address the learning challenges faced by our students from early childhood all the way to higher education. As you know, I believe most of you have gotten copies of the reports and the studies. For the past years, we've been releasing annual studies of EDCOM and have also put forward a lot of the legislative measures that were informed by these studies, and many of them have been turned into law, some of them still in the pipeline for legislation, currently being heard by respective committees in the Senate and in the House. In terms of the final report of EDCOM, which will be released this December based on the law, we are on track in terms of submitting the National Education Roadmap for the next 10 years in terms of priority targets as well as resource allocations to address the learning difficulties faced by our students with a focus on early childhood and key stage 1 as well as the inequities that are in our system, as we have noted, for example, in higher education and in TVET. Now, the wisdom of our legislators and commissioners in EDCOM is that while we will finish all the duties of EDCOM in relation to the studies, the filing of the bills will still take time to complete in order for them to turn into law, as well as for oversight so that the implementation of the executive side in terms of the policy recommendations to be completed faithfully and also to be resourced strategically still needs to happen. And therefore, the extension of 1 year will allow us to do both, to finish the legislative measures that are still in the pipeline, and second, to ensure that there is continued, consistent oversight that takes advantage of the, I would say, maybe the expertise of our standing committees, advisory council members, as well as the data that we have accumulated so far to inform the strong oversight to ensure that all of the executive recommendations are implemented by our colleagues in DepEd, CHED, and TESDA. I'd also like to highlight though, noong 1994 po, pagkatapos ng unang EDCOM, ang kahirapan po nila, may resistance ang executive branch sa proposals ng legislative branch. Kaya hindi lahat ng proposals ng EDCOM 1 natupad. Meanwhile, in our context, we are very lucky that with Sec Sunny, Sec Kiko, and Chair Shirley, there is real partnership and collaboration. And so, minsan pa nga po, kahit hindi pa nababatas, naayos na yung reform from the side of the executive branch. It's really taking advantage of this window of opportunity where there is single-mindedness about what the priorities are and what needs to be done urgently that we would like to take advantage of for 1 more year to ensure that it is seen through given the severity of the challenges that we have uncovered in the last 3. Maraming salamat, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Let me just put on record as well that the budget of EDCOM is never included in the National Expenditure Program, even if it is created by law. Again, the good work of EDCOM is due to a budgetary amendment in the Senate, what outside of the halls of Congress people call insertion. So ang sweldo, ang pag-aaral, research, at lahat ng ginagawa ng EDCOM na napakagaling at ang matulungin sa aming lahat is due to an amendment which is called an insertion. At kung pinagbawal yan, na hindi dapat ipagbawal dahil nasa Constitution yan ay Article 6, Section 24 ng Constitution, basahin nila, lahat ng appropriations, kailangan ang Senado mag-propose, or concur with amendments nakalagay yan. So para lang maliwanag, tama ba ako, Dr. Yee?
Yes, ma'am.
Kung hindi kami mag-a-amend, o sabi ni Senator Bam, mag-insert,
Yes.
paano na kayo?
Yes. Totoo po yan, ma'am. Kaya nga, hindi kami
nasa
humihinga
NEP ba
hanggang
kayo?
January
Nasa NEP?
kapag lumabas yung GAA.
Were you in the NEP
Never,
of
ma'am.
2025?
Wala po.
So
Wala
paano
po.
na ang sweldo nyo pag hindi i-insert ni Senator Bam?
Yes. And as you know, ma'am, we faced that challenge early this year also. Kaya po
Yes.
talagang may proseso. And the support of the leadership from the legislative side is critical to make our work possible.
Yes. Dr. Yee, are you asking then the senators present here to amend the budget? If we pass it into law, and that's the extension, both houses, it's not in the NEP of 2026, then we would have to
insert
Okay.
funds to ensure that the operations of EDCOM can continue
Yes.
next year.
Okay, because it's not in the NEP. So, yes. Questions on the extension
Yes.
of EDCOM too. Thank you.
Dr. Carol, so my understanding is that the versions in the Senate, it's merely an extension of the current EDCOM. But I know the House, parang iba ata yung gusto nila, di ba?
Actually, the difference is only 2 years yung sa House, 1 year yung sa Senate na extension. But in the Senate, we also have another bill for an EDCOM 3, which is joint executive and legislative. So
Okay.
that's the difference. That
So-
is the more substantial difference.
So there's a bill for EDCOM 3 and there's a bill for extending EDCOM 2.
Yes, in the
And
Senate.
then right now, we're discussing, Madam Chairperson, the extension of EDCOM 2.
Yes.
Not the EDCOM 3 bill.
Yes.
On the table
Are-
is the either extension and the number of years, because there are varied versions, as well as the creation of EDCOM 3. That's why I want to hear
Yes, ma'am.
from EDCOM itself and CHED and TESDA and anyone present here and yourself as well, what is your preference para marinig natin.
Right.
And kayo ang makakaalam ano ang mas maayos, mas gusto nyo
Yes, ma'am.
sa pagpatupad ng patuloy nyong trabaho.
Thank you, ma'am. In terms of the deliberations within EDCOM, with our commissioners also, the consensus is that the extension is the more appropriate direction at this point, because we have the people, we have the Standing Committee Advisory Council members, we have the data. It is continuing the same work that we have been able to be hopefully productive in terms of churning out the necessary analysis to inform the policies and programs that have been so far pursued. Yung EDCOM 3, kung baka daw at a certain point in the future to think about, but right now it is premature, is our conversation internally. Para po matutukan muna yung pagtatapos talaga ng executive issuances kaysa a total restructuring. That is the conversation internally. Although, also to caveat that after the 2 years, I think we need to start thinking about how to really strengthen technical oversight from the legislative and the executive side. Kasi po, kitang-kita natin in the last 30 years, yan yung challenge natin. In fact, one of the stories I would always remember, nung first year report ng EDCOM, nung nag-release po kami, meron po kaming data kasi on textbooks na hindi na-deliver for the past decade. Tapos, nagtaka yung mga senators na kasama ko po sa gallery. Sabi nila, but we fund this every year. So bakit wala nung taon na yan, nung taon na yan, nung taon na yan? I guess the reality of our legislature is that the committee chairmanships change, the senators change, and sometimes yung staff na gumagawa ng technical work, nababago din. Kaya yung institutional knowledge on a year-to-year, madalas hindi na pagtatagpi across decades. Kaya minsan, may mga bagay na nakakaligtaan. Kaya, I guess in the long term, something to think about after the extension of EDCOM is how to sustainably strengthen and ensure that there's institutional knowledge in terms of building that base of information as well as expertise in the sector to ensure continued strong work from the legislative in partnership with the executive. Siguro yun lang po yung caveat.
We hear now that EDCOM 2 extension is the preferred path instead of creating EDCOM 3 without really, with the possibility of it being considered in the future. Yes. What would be the most appropriate duration? 3 to 1 year to realistically complete the reform agenda of EDCOM 2 while avoiding any bureaucratic overlap?
Yes, ma'am. I believe 2 years might be ideal because 3 years naman will also, magulo na po yung third year kasi po marami ng ibang nangyayari. So 2 years is sufficient time just to match the pace of the executive branch in making sure that there is real partnership and that everything is working in lockstep. Thank you.
Okay. Extending EDCOM 2 could ensure policy continuity. But just so that I put it on record, could it also blur accountability if its functions overlap with the executive bodies? And this is what we want to avoid. Conversely, allowing it to lapse could disrupt ongoing evaluations and stakeholder coordination. So I just want to put both on record, and how would you answer that? Then we hear from both CHED and TESDA.
Thank you, ma'am. So just to respond to the 2 points, I think dun sa una po, wala naman pong problema because it is clear that the work of EDCOM is research and legislative measures and policy recommendations. Ultimately, the actions will need to be taken and accepted by the executive branch. Kaya po, usually, nangliligaw din kami at nangliligaw po tayo para ma-accept siya. So we really need to work closely with the executive branch to accept the proposals and then to implement, because ultimately it is only the executive branch that implements. On the second point, yes, I guess just to call out that there is the administrative order signed by the President in response to the Cabinet Cluster on Education that was a concurrent resolution of both houses, recommending the creation of a Cabinet Cluster focused on education. The President since released AO36 series of 2025 to create that Education and Workforce Development Group composed of the secretaries of DepEd, CHED, TESDA, but including now DepDev, DOLE, as well as DMW. So there will be oversight which the president himself will oversee as chair of this group, but that is from the executive side. And the function of oversight in the executive and legislative can coexist because it is both a responsibility of both branches of government anyway. So also perhaps no overlaps there, but in fact even greater synergies because it is the same data set which we could both discuss, deliberate, and figure out what best ways to move forward to address challenges faced. Thank you.
We'd like to hear from DepEd as well. Yes, Yusek Javier. So, DepEd, CHED, and TESDA, can you please give us your comments on specific reform areas or implementation gaps, if any, that would most benefit from the continued oversight work done by EDCOM 2? May I have your comments, please? Yusek Javier first.
Yes, good morning, Senator Lauren. Good morning, Senator Bam. With respect to the extension of EDCOM, of course, we respectfully defer to Congress. But I'm here, Your Honors, to register DepEd's support for the extension of EDCOM. The data gathered by EDCOM from different agencies have assisted the Department of Education in shaping its policies. In fact, Your Honors, EDCOM is also instrumental in linking together the educational agencies in the Philippines, that is TESDA, CHED, and DepEd. In fact, just recently we had a historical first joint MANCOM with the three agencies, culminating or the coordination between these three agencies, and that's because of the help of EDCOM. Extending EDCOM's life, Your Honors, will ensure the continuity of the efforts. The gains that already been obtained will also be maximized. So for us in DepEd side, Your Honors, we support the extension of EDCOM's life. Especially now that EDCOM and the three agencies are coordinating well, I think we can continue and we can see through the recommendations of EDCOM. In the past 3 years, the data were gathered, researches have been done. I think in the next year or two, it is now time for EDCOM to monitor the implementation of the recommendations, Your Honor.
Thank you, Undersecretary Javier. How about Dr. Agrupis? Which of the versions of the bill on EDCOM would you, as CHED Chair, prefer?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Again, on the part of the Commission on Higher Education, we fully support the extension of EDCOM 2 because overwhelmingly, the data that is being generated by EDCOM is really very helpful to us in terms of planning and setting priorities. We have started using the data generated by EDCOM 2, and it is very helpful for us three in designing a seamless pathway to make sure that no one is left behind in the field of education. So truly, CHED supports the extension of EDCOM 2 so that we will make sure that whatever policy that have been generated as an output of their data will be cascaded down and monitored. Thank you.
Take note of that. Thank you. And DG Benitez, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I would like to echo Chair Shirley and Yusek of DepEd that TESDA as well fully supports the extension of EDCOM to at least for 2 years, right? I think between the 1 year and the 2 year, 2 years is probably a better length of time to ensure continuity of what they've done. As a former commissioner and principal author of the EDCOM 2 law myself, it's very clear that the data-driven studies that EDCOM has generated created the conditions through which the three agencies looked out of our own little silos and bureaucratic concerns, ensuring a much healthier education system. No, so I'm hoping na, yes, Madam Chair, also for the record, na malagay po sa GAA ang budget ng EDCOM. At sana naman po mapadami pa ang kanilang mga studies na pwede nilang magawa on behalf, in fact, of the system as a whole, beyond the three agencies that handle education in the country. They have been very useful. They have brought to light things internal to the agencies that the agencies may not, in fact, have realized to begin with, as well as allowed us to see the possible deficiencies and obstacles in the proper coordination so that the system actually works as a whole. And if education system works as a whole, the Filipino people can only benefit. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Secretary Benitez. May we ask Dr. Yee, did you submit a formal budget proposal to DBM? And why were you not in the NEP when you're existing?
So we
were
go.
they expecting you to lapse this year? Is that the reason?
Well, that was the
Yeah.
general expectation. But even last year, ma'am, we submitted naman through the usual processes because we go through the mechanisms of both the Senate and in the House for budget process submissions. So first quarter of the year, we submit, we propose our budget, pero natatanggal po kasi the practice is amendments to the bill are removed from the NEP for them to be re-included in the process of the budget deliberations when it reaches Congress. So even if we do submit, it gets removed and then we need to lobby for resources to be allocated annually.
So, if we pass this measure, what happens? You are not in the NEP of 2026. There is no budget. You don't have to lobby. We have to amend it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And give us what's needed.
Yes,
Can you
ma'am.
give us, just so that it's transparent, an estimate amount needed? Because yung cost, wala sa panukalang batas. Nandun lang yung tanning para din makita, tas reflect nag-insertion yung dalawang chair. Yes, para maliwanag.
Yes, ma'am. So
Magkano
usually,
ang kailangan nyo?
usually the practice is that the funding for EDCOM is divided in the House of Representatives and in the Senate, so that both houses contribute to the work of EDCOM as a joint congressional body.
see.
But the total amount is 116 million for 2026.
116
Yes,
divided by 2.
po. Yes, po.
Okay, and just give us the breakdown, please. Maybe
Yes,
not now
yes.
if you have it. Yes. These are salaries. You don't need infrastructure, right?
No,
you
ma'am.
need building. You have an office in both houses.
Yes.
These are consultancies.
Yes, po. And
Are all your
research
people-
studies commission.
Research.
Yes.
Yes. And it's good to know that you have partnerships, right?
Yes.
Because you really can't get permanent plantilla people. No. Hindi kaya yon. You have ongoing memorandum of understanding and agreement.
Yes.
Anong diferensya nung MOU at MOA ninyo with various institutions?
Yes, ma'am.
Research organizations, international partners, to support your policy studies, your consultations, and your capacity building initiatives.
Yes, ma'am.
So these collaborations are essential in sustaining evidence-based education reform.
Yes.
And ensuring that these reforms are both local para applicable sa atin, di ba? Sa iba-ibang mga local government colleges, sa mga SUCs din, sa regional education institutions, at globally na tayo'y updated din.
Yes.
So,
Ma'am-
given this, just let me finish, the existing MOUs and partnership agreements, how would you explain this institutional partnerships, and will this be included in your 116? Are these funded by the partners that you have? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, then proceed with your
Sorry,
answer,
ma'am.
please.
Yes, ma'am. So actually, when we started our work 3 years ago, it was clear that because of the volume of issues to understand and tackle deeply, we would not be able to do that just from within EDCOM and within the resources that were given to us. So what we did was to actually partner with universities like La Salle, Ateneo, UP, PNU, among others, and a lot of civil society organizations. So in fact, I would like to think of EDCOM more than just a legislative body. It's almost like the education sector coming together to address and understand its own challenges for the benefit of Filipino students. Because to be very, very honest, we will not be able to do what we've been able to do if not for the free work of our standing committee members, advisory council members, mga presidents of universities, experts in the fields who are not paid but come just with a measly honorarium for all of our consultations, school visits. So far, we've published about 110 studies since the first year. Siguro po ang pinondohan po natin dyan kalahati, the remaining half contribution of partners in the education sector, universities, foundations, because they believe in the critical work that we need to do to address the learning crisis.
Very good. I will link you, if you're not yet connected, with the Department of Foreign Affairs so that they know in all their jurisdictions saan may grants,
Yes.
or even experts. Ang dami niyan natutulong sa inyo. Pangalawa, well, I just arrived a few weeks. I visited Singapore just for a few days for a Lee Kuan Yew exchange fellowship, and they would be more than willing to help EDCOM. Third, I think I already connected you with the Asian Institute of Management,
Yes, ma'am.
AIM, who can help you also with AI, blockchain, and data analytics, etc. And fourth, the Zoological Society of London has the Nature Campus, and they really wanted to have our educators here be present there and to do science collaboration. So there's so much international linkages that can be done, and I'm sure you can do that in the next 2 years. But perhaps explain to us more. Sino na ang inyong institutional partners? What countries, what institutions do you already have who are already assisting you? Are you able to tell us at least the top 3? And these are, how are they influencing the kind of work that you do?
Yes, ma'am. I'll also add, because I know that you are a strong supporter of the Philippine Studies Program in SOAS in London. Actually, a lot of the resources that we have historically, like primary references during the first years of the Philippine education system in the early 1900s, a lot of the materials are actually in the University of London because it was shipped there by ambassadors who were stationed here. So in fact, some of the resources, historical references on Philippine education, non-existent in the Philippines, are in libraries abroad. And so one thing that maybe we could request for your support, we need to digitalize all of these historical references because we need to support honest-to-goodness scholarship of Philippine education studies and reforms. And we can only do that with these primary references. And some of them in Madrid, some of them in Washington, D.C., the rest in London. So that still needs to be done po, just to put that on record.
Just kindly list the institutions where you need to utilize or request for their digital copy of research and files and studies that they have.
Yes.
You don't have to pay. We'll request it through the DFA to our respective offices. Second, I'm glad you mentioned the Philippine Studies Program, which I actually started it just as an idea in 2016, just in SOAS, because we were the only Southeast Asian country without a course on the Philippines.
Yes.
And the reason I asked them was, why not? Because they don't know much, or they had materials, but there was no support from government. Masakit yun. I said, now you have support. And now we have a continuing Philippine Studies program in more than 25 countries, including Complutense in Spain, including RUR and in Bochum, in Bochum, RUR University in Bochum, and 25 all over, including not only in universities but even in institutes like the Yusuf Isaias Institute in Singapore, and many others. So we will give you the
Thank you,
list
ma'am.
and the contacts for all these institutes and or universities. And kayo na ang mag-coordinate what are the materials that they have, I'm sure they have, on Philippine education, and not this. Let's not limit it to education, on culture, on science, that you can avail of. You'll have such a huge library, digital library. Then, if that happens,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
then what to do with those information, we leave it to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you. So just to respond to your earlier
Yeah.
question, ma'am, on the researches and what critical examples, for example, PIDS, for example, our partnership, I think we have already published more than 20 studies with PIDS, but one of the most prominent or important in terms of informing the body of work that we have pursued is they were able to highlight for us the very low participation rates in early childhood, only at 21%, despite all of the laws that we've passed to support the early years. They've also highlighted for us that in terms of the supplementary feeding program initiatives, there is some deficiencies in funding that result in there being no nutritional differences of those who receive the nutritional supports or interventions and those who do. And so the effectivity of the program was clarified for us and the solutions also from there. LaSalle, for example, the strong support of LaSalle, 20 studies that they funded as a university to support the work of EDCOM, among them, the one that highlighted for us that apparently we are the bullying capital of the world with the highest prevalence of bullying in the country. They've published about 5 studies to understand the different facets of bullying. Kaya nga sabi ko, pwede na po kayong gumawa ng Center for Bullying Research to help us truly understand and dig deep about these challenges. ID Insight, another strong research group, gave us a study, finished it, on learners with disabilities. They were the only ones who really had the patience to dig deep and find all of the data and do site visits and consultations on the ground on the context of our learners with special needs that really need so much more support and attention from government. Fulbright sent fellows to us to work with us, and they did their initial analysis of principals in the country. Doon po lumabas yung data na kalahati pala halos ng schools natin walang principals, and we only found that out last year. Ateneo just completed 20 studies with us, among them an analysis of the graduate education courses in the country, masters and PhD, to show that less than 20% finish PhDs in the country, and that most of our programs are ed administration and public ad. The last study of this kind was conducted in 2012. World Bank also conducted a study to show us that we have the least number of practice teaching in pre-service education, our bachelor in elementary and secondary, fewest number of practice teaching in the world, which tells us, okay, we need to revise our curriculum because we are not really giving them hands-on training so that they are ready to teach after they complete. So just among the 100 plus studies commissioned by EDCOM.
We are the lowest in the world insofar as?
Practice teaching. The number of hours to practice teaching as part of your teacher education curriculum in college.
How do you increase the number of hours?
So
How
in
do you
other
comply with
countries
that?
like Finland po, first year pa lang may oras na pang practice teaching, first, second, third, and fourth
Is
year.
this internship? Iba yun.
Parang ganun po.
Parang
Field,
internship.
yes.
Field.
Field practice.
Sa atin kasi, sa
One semester,
sa
fourth
huling
year.
taon na, sa
Yes.
fourth year.
Yes.
Like in Finland, first year pa lang.
Yes. Kasi you are given time to observe
Yes.
and then progressively given more responsibilities.
Okay. And what's stopping us? Is it the budget? No. Or is it the curriculum?
The curriculum, previously constructed by CHED, which is updated every 12 years.
So it is advisable to have internship or practice teaching from the first year.
Yes.
And the challenge here is a curriculum they're following.
Yes po.
To change a curriculum, what would it be? Just CHED to revise it?
Yes, ma'am.
Or the school? The school to revise it for CHED to approve it?
CHED, ma'am, to
CHED.
revise the PSGs of teacher education.
It's not policy, legislation?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay, so you discussed that with
We
Chair
have,
Group. So
yes.
it's good what we have this and everyone's present here.
Yes.
I'm glad you mentioned that. And kindly give us the country model. You mentioned Finland.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any model within Asia, Southeast Asia?
Well, Singapore is a best practice.
Singapore,
Hong Kong
okay.
also has
Sure.
very forward-looking practices.
So, practice teaching should be on the first year. Baka cost din yan kasi mahal ang internship, hindi ba ganun? Transport o no?
I believe it is
Or-
more about the policy lang
But the
po.
institutions to absorb the teachers from first year, is that not a challenge?
They partner, ma'am, with DepEd schools. to do that. So it is the same context in many other education systems.
For me, it's beneficial because kailangan nga ng tulong ng mga teachers sa DepEd, right?
Yes
And
po.
principals. In fact, what I did, Senbam, with, again, a amendment, no? For DOLE GIP. Gustong-gusto ko yung programa ng DOLE, yung Government Internship Program. Hindi yung tupad na walis-walis, ha? Hindi. Government internship. I link them with DepEd. And then the DepEd supervisors and the superintendents and the principals work with the youths, the senior high school who have not yet gone to college, or even out-of-school youths who are recipients of DOLE GIP, and they are trained in DepEd. This is different from your practice teaching. These are college students. But what I'm saying is, kulang na kulang ang mga staff ng DepEd. Tuwang-tuwa sila pag meron mga internship program gaya ng DOLE GIP. Mas matutuwa pa sila pag college students yan ng education ang kinukuha. So, dapat walang hadlang.
Yes, ma'am. And to support your point, literacy remediation through the ARAL program could be tied together with this, no? That when they're there, they're also supporting tutoring that is also done naman by a teacher when they graduate. So it's good training. Teacher aides to support teachers with very big classes of 50 to 60 students so that they have a buddy to help them with managing the class. So many other type of opportunities to really maximize pa po.
What year did CHED prohibit practice or internship on the first year?
Hindi naman po prohibit, but they just did not put in the guidelines that there should be or that there is
Baka
as
naman
minimum
hindi ang CHED,
standard.
hindi lang ginagawa ng mga eskwelahan. Why does it have to be CHED approved?
Because CHED po prescribes the minimum guidelines for the curriculum, and usually it is filled to the brim for each year. So if you put additional courses, wala na pong paglalagyan ng kurso.
No, it's the
sa
minimum,
ibang-ibang
but
taon.
it did not say na bawal. So nasa eskwelahan na yon na maglagay ng So these are additional hours?
It will require additional hours. So pag puno na po yung semester na dinesign ng CHED na minimum, wala naman pong ibang paglalagyan yung mga schools kasi punong-puno na siya ng subjects na kailangan nilang aralin.
I'd like to hear from Dr. Agrupis. Yes, is there a possibility of amending the curriculum to allow internship or practice teaching not just on the last year but within the 4 years? Thank you.
Yes, Madam Chair. Just yesterday, together with Secretary Sunny Angara of DepEd, we approve already the revised and strengthened teacher education roadmap. And one of this is the pre-teacher service and scholarship dedicated to enhance the professional profiles of our teachers. On the side of CHED, we are currently reviewing, admittedly, the internship is only confined in the 4th year, but the PSG and CMO for the early childhood, the elementary and high school curriculum is under review, Madam Chair. We will commit aligning to EDCOM 2 recommendation, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Dr. Tuga.
Yeah, just to have a rejoinder on the topic, in the reframed teacher education curriculum, which was also approved by the Teacher Education Council, it now accommodates more than 6 months of an teaching internship program, up to 1 year. So I think the recommendation of EDCOM has already been addressed by the Teacher Education Council.
Yeah.
I'm happy to see, I feel the very strong synergy
Yes.
between and among the heads of our agencies. Very good. Thank you. Yes,
I just wanted
Secretary
to
Benitez.
comment that much of this is really because finally the Teacher Education Council is actually functioning. And the Teacher Education Council's functioning is also due to EDCOM studies of the gap in the functions of the system. No? So all of this review, Madam Chair, was also really, to my mind, initiated by the studies of EDCOM. Therefore, the extension of EDCOM, I think, is a important step, no, that we can take as a country to ensure that these kinds of reforms continue to be data-driven and driven by actual studies. Kasi kung minsan hindi natin nare-realize na sa totoo lang, simple lang ang solusyon. Pero hindi natin naisip because we did not sit back, look at the terrain, and then make a policy decision. Madam Chair.
I will say no more, and I would like to state that we hear it loud and clear. EDCOM has done wonderful work. Thank you for your dedication. I will do the committee report on the extension of EDCOM 2 more years. That's for EDCOM 2. And we would like to help you in furthering your collaboration with international partners and institutions. Kindly also share all your studies thus far. Maybe put it in a online. It's online. You have a website, social media page.
Yes, ma'am.
On Facebook.
Yes, everywhere. TikTok.
Okay, and that's all there, complete. Hindi lang abbreviated versions.
Yes, ma'am. The full
long and the
studies.
short.
Yes.
Very good. Make it as interesting
Madam
as
Chair.
possible.
We do our
Yes.
best. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Dr. Agrupis. I saw the photo of when a photo comes out, does it mean he wants to speak? He wants to speak. Okay.
Madam
Nakita
Chair.
ko, pero hindi ko narinig. Sige. Okay, Dr. Tirso muna, then Dr. Agrupis. Salamat.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think this is just our insight of issues on the extension of EDCOM. Of course, there are 2 points here, whether to create EDCOM 3 or extend the work of EDCOM 2. Basically, PASOK is supporting the extension of EDCOM 2. While it is also possible for Congress to have EDCOM 3, but if we will do that, it will be again new structure, new target, new maybe research direction. And it will more or less repeat some administrative costs, startup admin costs. And to our mind, it is better to have better institutional memory or knowledge to extend the works of EDCOM 2. And maybe the extension of 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, we are into extending it maybe up to maximum of 2 years. Because if it's 3 years, it's similar to its previous life. It's no longer extension, it is multiplication of itself. So I think better to maximize the gains of EDCOM 1 or EDCOM 2. I think an extension of 2 years is good enough. But I think we have to ask from EDCOM 2 the deliverables or maybe the commitment that after 2 years, we are almost done with our targets. I think that's critically important. And generally, having EDCOM 3 will undermine the continuity of the works of EDCOM 2. I think on that note, we express on behalf of the state universities and colleges the support for the extension of EDCOM 2 up to a maximum of 2 years. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Ronquillo. And the last to speak will be Dr. Agrupis, and we proceed to the next bill. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Chair. I mentioned earlier that all the PSG and CMOs related to education is under review, and I would be remiss if I will not update the committee here, especially Chair Lauren and Chair Baum, that our technical panel already instituted the field learning as early as first year.
Salamat po sa inyong lahat. And are there any other comments? And yes, Dr. Arcega.
Upon on behalf of the local colleges, we are in full support of the renewal of EDCOM. Thank you because you're able to reconcile the gap between basic, technical, and higher education. And more than that, after fixing it via research, which is more, stronger, right? The decisions of the education agency became more sustainable and became more futuristic. We would like to support the renewal, though in our case we don't want 2 years, but we want to have 3 years, because the role of Education Commission is fixing all these three, right, and reconciling the data from basic to higher, and the data being produced by EDCOM, have guided everyone. And what we're happy about, I'm part of the EDCOM too, as Higher Education Subcommittee Senator, and we saw the transition of leadership from the Senate, Congress to TESDA, DepEd, and CHED. No? So for us, we find EDCOM as a reconciling mechanism. And I don't think we can reconcile it in the next 3 years. I guess to be able to fix continuously the issues and concerns of education, we have to continuously do researches, follow-up researches, and that's the only way to survive. Maybe beyond, for personal reasons, it's 3 years, no? But if the majority would have 2 years, I don't have any problem. But we see the role of EDCOM, a long dream of having someone to reconcile these three without creating another super education agency. The data, it's a reconciling mechanism, and EDCOM took 3 years to bring people together. It allowed EDCOM to bring all of us from private, higher education, from the industry, and we don't want to miss that opportunity to continuously reconcile the gap with all the stakeholders together, defining what's the best for Philippine education. And more than that, we'd like to thank the Secretariat. It took 3 years for Carl, to bring all these people together. I know that they are in EDCOM not by accident, but for a vision. Thanks for the 2 reports you gave, the miseducation, and the second report is fixing the institutions. And we haven't realized yet, that fixing the institution, we just started, I guess, fixing the institution as an urgent call. So we don't want to lose the people of EDCOM who were trained technically to write something and to have an input for all these 3 agencies. And more than that, not 3 years, maybe tentative 3 years, but moving forward, even beyond our leadership, we wanted to have this education commission helping us to bring all numbers together from basic to higher, right, without referring to who behind it. EDCOM made the education institutions more apolitical. And that's the reason why we made things very, very quick in the last 3 years. So we are in support, Madam.
Thank you.
EDCOM.
We take note of that. And nothing will stop us from making the 2 years, 3 years, because there's a pending bill of Senator Hontiveros that's actually 3 years. And the House version is 1 year. So we'll ask them to adopt our version for 3 years. I'm amenable to make it 3 years up to December of 2028. Yes. Professor Ramos of UMAC. Thank you.
Magandang umaga po. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Actually, when EDCOM 2 was constituted, when we had our initial meeting, madami pong priority areas na nalista. Kaso hindi po lahat na take up. Because nga, kulang din yung oras. So, nung pinag-usapan namin to, in-identify lang, ano yung kaya talaga nating matugunan doon sa 3 taon na binigay sa atin. So, madami pa po doon mga nalistang mga problema na kailangan ng reform, kaso hindi na namin pinagtuunan ng, attention o binigyan ng proper designation to work on because we just really identified the priority area. So if there will be an extension, then hopefully ito pa po mga ibang mga problemang ito na patungkol sa edukasyon ay matugunan din at mabigyan po ng pansin. Yun lang po. Maraming salamat, ma'am.
Thank you very much. We now proceed to the next bill, and Senator Aquino has the floor to give his comments or questions on the amendment to the Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act, focusing on the education subsidy, the TEST. Senator Bam Aquino.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Siguro po for reference, pwede natin gamitin yung CHED, the CHED slide 56 as reference. We can flash that. So Chairperson Shirley, ang tanong ko, not on the specifics of the bill yet, but just to get a bird's eye view in terms of the scholarships available for our students. No? So kung malagay po ninyo yung slide 56, meron nakalagay dito, free higher education SUCs 26 billion, free higher education LUC 6.7 billion, TES 20.7 billion, tulong-dunong program 0, CHED Unifast Operations 17.2 million, and then TESDA, the test ng TESDA is at 6.4 billion for a total of 60 billion. In the succeeding slides, naka-breakdown rin po dyan yung iba't ibang scholarship programs or mga STUFAP, no? If I'm not mistaken. You have the CHED Merit Scholarship Program for 1.4 billion. You have the SGD SIDA for sugarcane industry workers, 65 million. Meron ka for medical technologists, although no budget was given. There's about 12 sub-items here. Some are funded and some are not funded. Ito na po ba lahat ng scholarship na meron ang CHED or minamanage po ng CHED?
Yeah, thank you very much, Senator Bam. What is listed here is 1 to 12. We specifically decided to separate the tertiary education subsidy because we call it as a subsidy because most of the time it is not merit-based but based on the qualification as mandated by law, which is the 4 Ps. Yes, as of now, we have 12 scholarship that is being managed by CHED.
Okay, so the 12 scholarships are for specific groups of people, may specific conditions, and lahat po ba ito merit-based? Not necessarily, di ba?
Yeah, hindi naman po.
Okay, but these are smaller. Definitely, they're smaller in amounts.
Yes, Senator.
Okay, so itong 12, paano po ito ma-avail? How do I avail of these 12? No? So for the record, you have the CHED Merit Scholarship Program, which is the biggest. No? You have a grant for sugarcane industry workers, dependents, future medical technologists, future statisticians, Bagong Pilipinas Merit-Based Scholarship Program, which is new, Agricultural Competitiveness Enhancement Fund, Grants in Aid for Higher Education Program. So I'm assuming for children of agricultural workers po ito. Tama po ba? No? Tama naman, no?
Yes.
Meron kang coconut farmers, merong staff and faculty, although I don't know why that's included here, but this is not for students, no? You have for instructors, meron kang for medical students, and meron ka ring for medical scholarship and return service, which is almost 1 billion. So these are your other programs, no? Who manages these programs, Chair Shirley?
Yeah, this is being managed by our OSDAS, and it is headed by a directorate. And I would like to highlight here that every scholarship being managed by CHED is supported and through a guidelines. Like for example, the coconut, there is a specific guidelines that all the grantees should be the children of coconut farmers and involved in the coconut industry and so on and so forth.
So ito ho, paano makaka-avail? Kunyari, anak ako ng coconut farmer at merong specific program ang CHED for children of coconut farmers. How do I avail of this scholarship program?
This is in partnership with the Philippine Coconut Authority, and the Philippine Coconut Authority provides us a list of qualified farmers for us to implement.
And is this a cash grant given to them or this is passed through the schools?
Yes, ma'am. May I request
Yes.
the director for OSDS for a more concrete answer even
Sure.
it comes to number?
You may join us, Director. Ano naman po ito? For information lang to, para lang transparent tayo sa mga scholarship programs. Director, what's your name?
Good morning po. Cor po, Director Cor po.
Cor?
Cor Cabanilla po. Apo.
Sorry, Cor is your first name.
Corina po.
Corina, your nickname is Cor.
Apo,
Okay,
yes po.
Director Cor.
Yes po.
Is this given out in cash or is this given through the agencies? Is this given through the schools, for example?
This is implemented po through the regional offices. So there are slot allocations being given to them. This is the slot allocation is in consultation with the Philippine Coconut Authority because they have the database on determining po yung mga sugar farmers po and their families. Kasi they have to be registered there for that's one of the eligibility requirements. To answer your question, sir, it is sometimes it is given directly to the scholar, sometimes it's given through the school. So there are two modes depending on the ease of giving it po. Kasi there are certain regional offices that maliit lang po kasi sila. So it's easier for them to disperse it directly to the students. But if it's a large region, it has there is more ease if it will be in coordination with the school. Kasi mas madali po yung coordination with the scholar.
Alright, so kung ako anak ng coconut farmer or anak ng sugar farmer or isa akong future statistician, kasi meron din palang pondo yung mga future statisticians natin, they apply to CHED.
Yes, sir. There would be an open call for applications if there is available budget. So, ang ina-assure po muna is yung mga ongoing because we want to assure that they graduate. So, yung mga nagka-qualify for the first year, we want them po na makagraduate.
All 4 years.
Apo, that they graduate. And then, if we also always request ng new for a certain portion of that for new slots. So, yun ganun po yung ginagawa po namin. So, it's an open call for application. Ideally, this is before the start of the academic year so that the applicants will already know na meron na po silang assured scholarship before they enroll.
Okay, and usually that's on the CHED website, di ba?
Yes, we advertised po that earlier. Siguro po by ideally po second quarter of the year to before po mag-August, nagbibigay na po ng information so that they can apply po.
So my understanding is meron kayong open call sa website. Meron, in some cases, may advertisement.
Yes.
In other cases, word of mouth through the agencies or through the schools.
Yes.
Diba?
Opo. So there's an official issuance of a memorandum from the Office of the Chair asking for a call for application. So this is cascaded po to the regional offices. Regional offices will cascade it to their respective schools under their jurisdiction. And we also advertise it through the Facebook as well as po dun sa other modalities po where it can be easily reached by students po.
And the requirement here is the group that wants to be supported, you have to be part of that group.
For the case po, for the case of the coconut farmers po.
Well, lahat kasi to, except for the merit-based, parang everything else points to a specific group. Kailangan statistician ka, kailangan pharmacist ka, kailangan anak ka ng coconut farmer, anak ka ng sugarcane industry worker, di ba? May specific siya, di ba?
Opo.
And you have to be a student. Right? This is not a youth. Is it a youth grant or it's a student grant? It's for your studies.
Yes, sir. It has. You have to be enrolled in college for a specific program. Like for example, in statisticians, there are specific programs allowed because there's a dearth of statisticians. So we wanted to dedicate a scholarship program for them. This is also in coordination with the Philippine Statistics Authority.
So how do you check that? The regional office is the one responsible for checking that.
Yes, yes, sir. So the receipt of application as well as the evaluation of applications and the provision of the scholarship itself is delegated to the CHED regional offices, but they follow a guidelines that emanates from the central office.
Okay. And Chair Shirley, ito na ba lahat ng mga non-TES and non-FHE? This is it na? Ito na yon?
Yes, Sen. I would like also to point out that part, because you asked how our promising recipient can avail of the application. This is part of our digitalization program. In the spirit of transparency, we plan to put it in one portal. And since CHED already find its way in the eGov, this will be part of our digitalization direction so that everybody is aware.
Okay.
And have the liberty to choose if they qualified in 3 or more scholarship, because the standing policy of CHED is that you can only avail of one scholarship.
One scholarship, no? Okay.
Yes po.
Same issue ho ito with DOH and the zero balance billing, no? Maraming hindi alam na merong zero balance billing sa mga DOH hospital. And in fact, yung mungkahi ko kay Secretary Herbosa, dapat habang nag-check-in pa lang or nandun pa lang sa unahan yung pasyente, sabihan na. Kung gusto nyo po ng zero balance billing, dapat ganito yung mga patakaran. So in the same way, we hope that these scholarships are more widespread. No? I mean, some of them are in the billions. Kahit pa paano, mayroong ring umaabot ng billion dito, gaya nung CHED Merit Scholarship Program. Maganda kung maraming may alam niyan. Okay, sige. Let's go to the bigger ones, no? So, ito pong other 12s to FAP. We call these scholarships, correct, no? These are scholarships. This is about 4 billion, no, in total, roughly, or maybe more. Maybe more, maybe closer to 6 billion. Pero yung malaking chunk talaga is really in FHE, TES, and tulong-dunong. Correct, Chairperson, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, nung sinulong po natin yung libreng kolehiyo, malinaw naman po yung layunin na isulong yung libreng kolehiyo para sa mga estudyante natin. And in many ways, I think we were successful. No? Our SUCs and LUCs are now free. Marami ho tayong tulong na ibibigay. Pero alam rin ho natin na ang mga scholarship na ito napakahalaga kasi nalulunod na yung mga kabataan sa gastos. And many of them drop out, and this is from EDCOM's report, many of them drop out not because of tuition, kasi in many cases, libre na yung tuition, nag-drop out sila dahil sa mga ibang gastos. Kaya mahalaga po itong mga scholarship at allowance. Now, let's go to TES and tulong-dunong. Kasi yung TES tsaka tulong-dunong, yan po para sa pangkalawakan, di ba? For it's universal, right? The others, you have to belong to a specific group or it's merit-based, no? Maganda rin, by the way, yung merit-based, Dr. Shirley. Maganda rin yon na yung mga achievers natin may nakukuhang tulong. Pero pagdating sa TES tsaka tulong-dunong, and this was my question in the last hearing that we had, paano ka mag-a-avail ng TES at tulong-dunong? Ano yung paraan ng pag-avail? Ano yung paraan ng pagkuha ng tulong? Sino yung mga pwedeng makakuha nito? At ito ba'y bukas sa lahat ng kabataang nangangailangan? No? I know that the test budget has been going down. From 2024 to 2025, bumaba po ito. From 2025 to 2026, bumaba po ulit ito. And definitely, I will make an amendment, Chairperson Loren, to bring this amount back to the 2024 level kung di man natin to masurpass, no? Kasi dapat po kada taon dumadami ang estudyante, dapat dumadami rin yung scholarship at tulong sa kanila, hindi bumababa. No? Now, maganda po yung nasabi nyo kanina, we should take a look at the scholarships as a whole, hindi lang per particular item. But kumbaga, kailangan nating malaman ano ba yung mga pinagkaiba nito, ano ba yung kabuuan. So, first question, bakit po natin zinero dito sa slide ninyo yung tulong-dunong? We know that huge allocation was already earmarked for this.
Are you referring to slide 62?
56 po, slide 56.
56. Saan yan?
Baka naman di lang po na-input nung ginawa po yung slide.
Oops. Yeah, let me go to this slide first, Senator, so that I can categorically answer the question because there are so many concerns that need to be presented.
56.
So that 56.
Yan. So for the record po, in the subsequent slides, we talk about the other scholarship programs. No? Yun muna yung inuna ko.
Yeah.
But this is the main slide kasi ito po yung pinakamalalaking pondo pagdating sa allowances at subsidies for our youth. No? So free higher ed, SUC, free higher ed, LUC, yung mungkahi ko lang po dyan, and namungkahi ko na rin to in the last hearing, maganda to do an assessment and a rationalization of how much we're spending for each LUC and SUC. Kasi ang alam ko po, yung range nito napakalaki. So magandang may pag-aaral. I don't know if Dr. Yee is going to be extended by 2 years. Maybe he can include this in his research, no? Ano ba yung magandang amount? Para meron tayong more basis for the amounts we provide our SUCs. Okay? I don't expect that po for this year's budget, for next year's budget. Alam ko, medyo masalimuot po yan. Yung TES, ang concern ko dyan ay pababa. Now, we've also spoken in the past that the details of how TES is distributed needs to be amended. In fact, most of the bills in the committee on TES, most of the bills in the committee for libreng kolehiyo are actually about TES. No? And alam ko po, naging issue rin dito yung mga pamilya ng 4-piece. And then we go to tulong-dunong. Bakit siya zero po dito, Chairperson? And maybe you can take us through this slide and take us through these amounts.
Yeah, first, thank you very much, Senator. No, the free higher education is for SUC. This is a allocation of the promised 60 billion in the President's SONA last last July. So we tried to present this in such a way that the promised made is truly allocated. But unfortunately, in the tulong dunong, because the definition of tulong dunong trace its history as SICA, the Congressional introduce changes and amendments. It does not usually appear in the NEP. So the allocation here, as you can see, is based on the NEP. So, but if it's based on the NEP, wherein tulong dunong is not specifically introduced
So,
there.
in the 2026 NEP, zero po yung tulong dunong?
Yeah, I would like to, yes, tulong-tulong for the new incoming. But through the years, this is a painful revelation that through the years, the tulong-tulong grantees has accumulated to as high as 474,755. And as I have clarified earlier in the previous briefing, the tulong dunong is only funded in year 1. And then year 2, through a provision, they are automatically included in the list of tertiary education subsidy grantees. This partly answer your question, Sir Chair, that there are tertiary education subsidy grantees in the ensuing year that are displaced because it is displaced by the ongoing tulong dunong grantees in year 2.
Okay. So let me clarify. How is TES distributed? How is tulong dunong distributed?
And to amend that question, the distribution of tulong dunong, distribution of tertiary education subsidy based on our law, and the direct remittances to the state universities and colleges, which are also additional scholarship allowances. So how are those three distributed? And are the rates per student the same? And the frequency of distribution, is it per year, per semester, quarterly? Yeah, so that we understand it. Thank you.
I do not know if I have enough time to relate to the honorable chairs how the TES is being implemented. By law, the tertiary education subsidy should be based on the listahanan. And this is prioritized according to the list given by DSWD. The 4 P's should be in the
Yes.
first.
We acknowledge that is what is in the law. Yes, definitely.
Tinitingnan nila kung bakit, how to distribute. Are you asking, Senator, the distribution of the payment or distribution of the allocation?
Both. Both.
Okay, let me talk first of the distribution of allocation. So that is the ideal one. But in order to give a good validation, what UNIFAS did is that to validate the list from a raw data of DSWD. So most often than not, the clean list from DSWD, I can call it clean list because this is their function to identify the bona fide recipient of TES. So what happened is that usually, most often than not, that the validated list of UNIFAS does not match the number of the clean list from DSWD. That's step 1. So we distribute, so this list that is validated on the UNIFAS national level is the one that is being followed and cascaded to the regional offices of CHED with focal person on UNIFAS. So that is the distribution. And then for the tulong dunong ongoing, we adopt the list that is being submitted to UNIFAS.
So, my understanding is that legislators refer, di ba ho? They refer recipients ng tulong-dunong sa CHED. Basically, kasi may listahan na binibigay. Tama ho, no? Let's just be transparent here. Anyway, we all just want to come up with a better system.
Yes, but sometimes the institution also give the numbers. Those who are not allocated in the tertiary education subsidy given from the national, kung minsan po nagbibigay ng listahan ng higher education institution.
Magkano ang nakukuha for TES? Magkano nakukuha for tulong-dunong? Is it the same amount or it's different amounts?
Different.
Magkano po yan? So we'll focus on these two kasi ito yung dalawang malaking allocation eh. Yung iba ho, I know there are other scholarship programs but we will leave that to another time. No?
Yeah, initially by law, Honorable Senator, is that they started with 60,000 and then lowered down to 40,000 per year. I'm referring to per year. That is...
This is TES, di ba?
Yes, TES.
It's smaller pa now. Alam ko it's
And
only
then
at
now
20,000.
it's only 20,000
Yes.
for public HEIs, but those given to PNSL, those private university with no SUKs and looks in the locality are given 27,000 per year.
Okay. And in your assessment, ako po ang assessment ko mababa ito. Kasi sipin nyo, nagsimula tayo ng 60,000 in 2018 or 2019. From 2019 to 2025, tumaas na po yung presyo. Bakit pababa yung binibigay nating tulong, di ba? So, that in itself is already a question for me, Chair Shirley. Sa tingin po ba ninyo, tama yung number na yan? Or dapat bang itaas yan?
Well, I can say that yung pagbaba po ng tertiary education subsidy is one of the major factors kung bakit mataas ang attrition. But inevitably, in order for youth CHED Unifas to embrace more number of recipients because of the incoming tulong-dunong in the year 2, we have to allocate the available funds, short of saying that the increased number of beneficiaries in the tertiary education subsidy and the ongoing TDP does not correspond to the amount of budget given every year.
That's clear. So, si 474,000 na kailangan i-accommodate. And by the way, I am in favor of pag nabigyan ka ng scholarship on 1 year, dapat all 4 years. Kasi ang gusto ho natin, mag-graduate sila. Kung tatanggalan mo yan bigla, marahil magda-drop out po talaga yan kung galing po sa mahirap na pamilya. Yung mga balakid pong yan, kailangan tanggalin po siya. So, Chair Shirley, I think you're providing us the budget, of course, that DBM has approved. But we would like to see what the real need is.
Okay.
Kung ang hinahabol ho natin, yung tamang halaga para matulungan yung kabataan. Di ba? Kasi isipin nyo po, 7 years ago, 60,000 yan. Ngayon, 20,000 na lang. Parang may mali. Di ba? So ano yung tamang halaga? Pangalawa, kung i-absorb nga ng TES yung mga tulong-dunong, then a huge number of this is already earmarked for a set of students. Hindi ko sinasabing masama yun. Ang sinasabi ko lang, that limits your ability to accept new students on scholarship or on subsidy. 'Di ba? Kasi nakakain na siya. So kung yung 474,000 at yung 4-piece ay nasa TES, magkano na po yun? And then yung tulong-dunong at the same time, I don't know how much the tulong-dunong is currently from the GAA or hindi pa yun nasasubmit ata, no? But it has to be significantly less than TES. Kasi kung lahat sila papuntang TES, ibig sabihin nun, dapat mas malaki yung TES. Kasi kung mas malaki yung tulong-dunong, and then they're expected in the following year to move to the TES program, then TES has to be bigger because every year dumadagdag si TES. So, what you're also saying is si tulong-dunong is only bago yun lagi. Tama ho, di ba? Yun yung mga bago. So, if you do the math, kailangan yung tulong-dunong mas maliit, yung TES yung mas malaki, kasi lahat sila pupunta sa TES eventually. Now, bakit di na lang natin to gawing TES lahat? Bakit pa kailangan iba yung pangalan, iba yung presyo? Is the distribution of the funds done through CHED? Or is it done through the schools? Is that the difference?
Yeah, there are for the ongoing TDP, it course through the CHED. But
Okay.
for the new TDP, it course through course through to the schools.
Okay, so it's the same. Kumbaga kung test ako or tulong-dunong ako, makukuha ko pa rin siya sa mga eskwelahan. Tama po ba? Is that correct?
Yes po.
So, yeah, it's really, first of all, it can be confusing. But secondly, baka yung math hindi ho nag-a-add up, ah. Kasi kung malaki yung TDP mo, that's new, tapos yung test mo ay mas maliit, the math will not add up. Dapat times 4 pa yung test. Tama ba ako, Dr. Yee? Can you help? Alam mo, mas magaling ka sa akin sa math, di ba?
Hindi rin po ako magaling sa math. Pero I think the main delineation is test needs to be targeted based on household income. Tulong-dunong does not look at household income every time.
Okay. But I'm assuming that each of these have their own requirements and that the school checks. It still checks, di ba? May check pa rin yan kahit papaano. Kung totoo yung tao, kung talagang pasok sa income requirement, kung talagang nangangailangan. I think all of our scholarship programs really undergo that level of checking, kahit paper checking, Dr. Agrupis, no? Tama naman, di ba?
Yes po.
Okay. So, we're assuming may kanya-kanyang guidelines yan. We're assuming na the school will do the check. I would suggest, and of course, Chairperson Lauren is here, maybe we should just put it under one program and rationalize. Go ahead po.
I'd like to know the difference between a tulong-dunong distribution and pagdiretso naman sa SUC yung pondo, kung selected lang yung SUC's distribution, anong diferensya nun? Nakukuha pa rin ng bata eh.
That's a third category pa po,
Yes.
di ba? That's a third category.
Because the amendments I make are direct, not through CHED, to the State University and College. Para from DBM, diretso na sa SUC. May we know the difference? If it's all scholarships, whether TES, tulong-dunong, or direct to SUC. Dumadaan sa CHED, tapos pupunta sa estudyante through the SUC, and then yung isa from DBM to the SUC to the student. So lahat naman pupunta sa estudyante. May we know the difference, Dr. Agrupis? Thank you.
Yung sa TES, let me define the TES po. Expand the definition of TES na sinabi ko kanina based on the law. And then yung recipient under the tertiary education subsidy is divided into different groups. The 4 Ps, the PNSL, the students who enrolled in private university that has no SUCs or LOCs. That's the test. So it is based, so sa test, it is based on the DSWD listahanan. Yung PNSL naman are those that are enrolled in the no SUC, no LOCs. Yung tulong-dunong, mix kasi po yun. There are those that are within, yung hindi na-accommodate sa 4 Ps, but they are in the listahanan, nandun po yung estudyante din. And then may mga, in some extreme cases, may mga recipients na sometimes outside the borderline of listahanan.
That's okay, because nangangailangan pa rin po yan. I remember when we were crafting the law, kung ililimit mo kasi siya sa 4 Ps, and ang target to ng 4 Ps ay napakahirap talaga, you miss out on the lower middle class na kung may magkasakit, may mawawala ng trabaho, mabaha, talagang devastating na. So, we wanted TES to also be able to reach up to that level, no? So, okay lang po yung above 4 Ps. In fact, masasabi mo nga, 80% ng kababayan natin nangangailangan ng tulong. I mean, if you really look at income levels, no? So I don't mind that may natutulungan above the poverty line. In fact, even if you're above the poverty line of NEDA, kailangan mo pa rin ng tulong. That's fine. But my issue is really whether na-check ba ito. Yung distribution ang distribution po ba ay CHED or SUC?
HEIs.
HEI. Okay, so whether private or public, right? So,
Hindi pa nasagot yung pagdiretso sa SUC. Sinagot na ba? Kung yung pondo diretso sa SUC. The distribution is from SUC to student, right?
May SUC TDP. Yun yung diretso sa kanila. May CHED TDP. Mayroon po kasing SUC TDP, Madam Chair, kaya dumidiretso sa kanila. And then merong CHED TDP. Nakasama.
so may TDP na SUC, naka-lodge sa SUC? May TDP ba na separate sa CHED, sa central office ng CHED? Meron din?
Meron din po.
Okay, meron din.
Yeah.
And all of this is amendments in the budget. Hindi ito nakaprogram ng DBM?
Pakipaliwanag nga. Ang tagal ko na rito pero marami pa rin natutuklasan. Oo, hindi. Learnings. Central, CHED, TDP. SUC, TDP. Saan pa? Ano po ang diferensya? So hindi pa rin maliwanag. Ano po ang diferensya ng tulong-dunong under CHED, tulong-dunong under SUC, ang costing per student, frequency of delivery of funds, and how is it given to the students?
Sige, Director. Dr. Shirley, go ahead.
As the new CHED chair, what I did in my first day is to get the data. So before I answer Chair Lauren, because I know that you are with CHED, that moving forward, we consider the students who are really on board. So the data is now telling us na ganito, na we have this data. This same data was presented in the Congress before. Because for me, it is so heavy in my back to really look back. So what I requested is a moving forward policy and direction. I go with your idea na pag-isahin na lang po yung test. But the problem on the table now is to support the on-board recipients, be it TESS, be it TDP, PNSL, qualified sila o hindi, mga tao sila, hindi tulay. Kaya nandito po sila
Maybe
ngayon.
para we can move forward with the questions, no? Yung current po na nabibigyan ng tulong ng TESS, yung 4P sinama na in the last budget, di ba? So, hindi na issue yon.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so yung TESS, yung TDP, lahat ng forms ng TDP at lahat na nakakakuha ng scholarship, magkano po yan? As a whole?
As a whole po, ngayon dito on the table, including those, yung naka-red mark, pakitingnan po yung TDP Continuing SICA 2025, no? The total of our recipients for the beneficiaries is listahan and continuing the test, we have 878,000. Yung ibinigay ng NEP is for the test is 15.5 billion. Yung sa TDP, yung sinabi po ko kanina na accumulated through the years, we have 474,000 plus recipients. Ang nabigyan lang ng fund is equivalent only to 338,000 na this now kulang ng 135. Kaya po present ko doon na yung hindi nasali or hindi ma-accommodate sa NEP funded funding na 135,792 recipient ay nangangailangan ng 2.something billion. That is the ongoing. So, for the total ongoing, the universe of the onboard tertiary education subsidy composed of listahanan, 4Ps, PNSL, and TDP, we need a total funding of additional 2 billion.
Okay.
Now, for the incoming, Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, as a policy moving forward, tama po kayo, na iisa na lang. So we already consulted with the DSWD Secretary, Secretary Gatchalian, and palagi na kaming nag-exchange notes. In fact, yesterday again, we confirmed that the incoming promising senior high school 4-piece graduate is 490,000. But on the real ground, we already talked with EDCOM, TESDA, and DepEd before, when the advocacy campaign is very limited. We are on the belief na yung mga 4-piece natatakot mag-enroll kung hindi nila alam na kasali sila. So we will strengthen our advocacy campaign. In fact, we scheduled already an on-the-ground caravan so that they know that this is the listahanan, 490,000. We are targeting about 40 to 50% of this will enter in the tertiary education while the rest will go to TESDA.
Yes.
Gusto po naming saluhin lahat ito.
Okay, yung TDP, hindi ho ba 14 billion yung naka-assign sa TDP? I saw it in a previous slide. Maybe during the finance hearing, 14 billion yung TDP. Tapos ginawang 14 plus 14 kasi yun yata yung isang amendment ng Kongreso. Do I remember that slide correctly? In the last hearing na magkasama ho tayo with the SUCs, parang there was a 14 billion there for TDP. Hindi ho ba? I might be wrong, no? But do you know how much Congress has already allocated for TDP now?
Yes po. It's not yet broken down into TES and TDP, but during the Congress hearing, I request this 8.6 billion to cover all the on-board scholar, including those incoming na 490,000. But of course, we are mindful that this 490,000 cannot all go to tertiary education. Why did we ask this 6.6 million based on old rate? Because if there will be, it depends on the takers later
Yes.
on, yung sobra po, yun yung ibabalik na, yung i-recompute namin to add up to the allowance given
Okay.
to this.
So para lang malinaw ho tayo, Chair Shirley, no? For all of the current scholars, current TES or TDP, you need 22 billion. Tama ba? Kasi sabi nyo 20 plus 2.
For the ongoing po, we need 27.4 billion.
Okay. 27.4.
For the incoming, we need 6.6
If
billion.
all of the 4-piece children go to college.
Yes.
Correct, di ba? But usually, ang enrollment rate and whether they choose to go to tertiary education or not, you're saying this is maybe half.
Yes.
Right? So we're looking at, sabihin mo ng 30 billion. Correct. And right now, ang naka-allocate pa lang is 20.7. So 10 billion yung kulang.
27 po.
No, it's only, TES is only 20. Sorry, si TESDA ba sinasama nyo? Kasi si TESDA, iba pa si TESDA, right? Iba pa yun. So for your SUCs, si TES na pang SUC at LUC is just 20.7.
Yes.
Okay, and you're saying we need 30, correct?
Yes, yes.
We can you can of course submit later kung the math doesn't add up.
We can review the data, but I would like to emphasize here that out of to cover the ongoing and the prospective incoming college student, assuming the 100% 490 is coming in, we requested 8.6 billion, but we read that we have been allotted 9.3 billion, and we are thankful for that because in our earlier submitted, yung na-submit before, they failed to submit incoming TDP and incoming, PNSL. Wala po dito ang incoming new PNSL.
Dr. Agrupis, after the hearings in Congress, magkano yung nilagay nila for TDP? Kasi wala siya sa NEP, di ba? I know that they already published it eh.
Hindi.
Officially kasi we don't have it yet, no? It hasn't been submitted to us. But I know in the hearings, binabanggit po yan, yung balak na TDP.
Meron na
I think it's more than 10 billion, if my memory serves me correctly. So aabot ka naman sa target mo with TEST plus TDP.
Yeah.
'Di ba? Tama ho, 'di ba?
Yeah, if wala pong naka-specify na specific allocation or breakdown muna, binigyan kami, na-allocatean kami ng 9.3. So if you deduct the proposed budget ng 8.6, may 0.7 buffer for the allotted scholarship for test.
So aabot ka with TEST plus TDP, aabot kayo sa target ho ninyo. Right now,
Yes.
yung suggestion po ng Congress.
Yes po.
So at least we know, yung mga may scholarship ngayon, hindi mawawalan. Correct, di ba? Tama ba? Si Sir Kiko is saying yes kasi siya magaling siya sa math. So yes. But ang incoming ho natin, we cannot restrict it just to the 4Ps.
Ito man dito.
Because we know that a number of students who are even in private schools, but they're poor but deserving students, in the first year of implementation of libreng kolehiyo, may nakukuha rin po silang tulong. It's just that through the years, paunti ng paunti yung nakukuha. Yung 60,000, naging 20,000. Yung estudyante sa SUC, kumonte. Yung estudyante sa private school, kumonti rin, nalimit siya sa mga PNSL. We want to expand the program. And we can do that, I think, considering na may budget tayo ngayon. Diba? Meron tayong pagkukuhanan sa flood control na easy zero. Si Ma'am Lauren, may balak pa siyang tanggalan yung DPWH ng 10 to 20%. Tama po ba? Or tingnan natin. Sana. So may pondo po tayo. But let's make it clear. Gusto ho natin yung mga estudyanteng may nakukuhang tulong, tuloy-tuloy yung tulong. Yung tulong nakukuha nila, sapat para makapagtapos sila. Yung tulong, hindi lang sa mga 4Ps, hindi lang sa mga may referral ng legislator, pero yung mga estudyanteng talagang nangangailangan in public and in private schools. So yun nung binuo po namin yung batas ng mga senador at congressman, yun po yung nasa puso po namin. So we want to see that computation, Dr. Agrupis. I actually think we're almost there. Sa totoo lang, absolute numbers wise, kumbaga yung total sa total, palagay ko hindi tayo malayo. Maybe magkakaiba lang tayo dun sa specifics. So by the way, hindi pa nasasagot. Kung TEST, it's 20,000 per year. In the SUC, 27,000 for private. Magkano po yung nakukuha for tulong-dunong? O magkakaiba rin ba yung nakukuha for tulong-dunong?
Sa tulong-dunong, 15,000, no? 15,000 per year.
15 or 50?
15, 1.5.
1.5.
Yes.
Okay, so mas mababa pa.
Mas mababa po.
Okay, and ang concern ko ho kasi dyan, kung ganyan kabababa yung mga numero, baka kulang talaga. Diba?
Kulang po talaga.
Kulang talaga.
Yes po.
Okay, so can we do a recomputation if possible? I don't know if Chairperson Lauren will support me, pero magandang isang programa na lang po, di ba? Wag na pong multiple programs na iba-iba yung presyo.
I agree. It should be rationalized, but we must take into consideration that no single student must be lost in the process na pag iba na yung pangalan o isa lang yung pangalan para mas maliwanag, hindi may makakaligtaan dahil tulong-dunong siya, wala siya sa test. Kasi when we amend the budget, hindi naman nakalagay tulong-dunong, di ba? It's a program. Everything is under tertiary education subsidy. Is that correct? I want to be enlightened on this. Or nakalagay ba sa line item yung tulong-dunong? Or everything is under CHED, TES.
No, I think there's a line item, right?
Is there a line item tulong-dunong?
Yes po. I have now the list. Out of the 9.3 billion they have allocated, yung ng BARC, tertiary education subsidy is 6.6 billion. And then tulong-dunong is 2.6 billion.
So that's for 2025?
2026.
So for 2026, ang nirecommend po ng Kongreso is 2.6 billion for tulong-dunong and...
No. TEST po. Ang 6.6 ang tertiary education subsidy and 2.6 for tulong-dunong.
Nasa 20 na tayo eh.
Bago po.
Additional. Okay, so they're bringing the 20.7 to 27 point something. And then si tulong-dunong from 0 to 2.2?
2.6 billion.
0 to 2.6 billion.
Yes po.
Okay.
Yes. In my understanding, the reason why tulong-dunong is zero in the NEP because this program will accommodate all the congressional insertions or amendments for scholarships of needy students. And Tulong Dunong will also adjust further in addition when senators want to have more scholarships. Is that correct? So the
Yes.
Tulong Dunong program addresses, kasi I had to address the elephant in the room. Hindi natin sinasabi. Hindi naman masama. Sabihin na po nyo yung totoo. Kaya siya zero sa NEP dahil ito yung programa na kung saan binabahay o saan linalagay po yung mga dagdag na scholarship na hindi po sakop ng listahanan sa tertiary education subsidy. Tama ba ho?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Kung tatanggalin natin yung tulong dunong, kaya bang saklawin o i-cover ng tertiary education subsidy ang lahat ng scholars kasama na yung 4-piece listahanan? Pareho lang naman pangalan lang nagbago. At kung gusto namin mag-amend ng 1 billion, 2 billion para lahat na ng college students ay merong allowance, maski anong pangalan itawag natin, ay sako po. Pangalan lang yun eh. Tama ba ho?
Tama po.
Yes.
Tama. So, we want to see the computation, Dr. Grupis. Of course, right now, nag-ano lang tayo, we're just we're rounding up numbers. But I'm sure kino-compute nyo na yan. TES plus TDP, magkano yung sa NEP, magkano yung sa Kongreso, magkano yung kailangan naming baguhin para makover lahat ng gusto nating makover. At sustainable yung programa. Now, this is a year where we will really have more allocations for education. Kaya, galingan na po natin, di ba? Let's really maximize that there is budget for education right now. I will just say this, no? Yung bagong pasok na allowances, sakupin po natin lahat ng 4-piece na papasok, pero wag ho nating ilimit dun sa 4-piece. Kasi marami ring kabataan, kahit wala po sila sa 4-piece, nangangailangan rin. Number 1. Number 2, of course, may bias tayo sa mga SUC, pero yung private schools, mas marami sila sa higher education at marami ring estudyanteng mahirap po sa mga private schools natin. So let's create space for them. We can do it in the budget. And by the way, most of the bills on amendments to 10931 or amendments to TES, pinapalawak rin po, Chairperson, yung sakop o coverage ng tertiary education subsidy. Now, of course, we can work on the bill. We can also include it as a special provision in the budget kung sino po yung bagong coverage natin or if we're expanding the coverage, that can also be done. So my suggestion is, habang may opportunity tayo na may pondo para sa edukasyon, i-compute na po natin, i-rationalize na po natin, siguraduhin ho natin na yung mga kabataan na nangangailangan, may suporta po para makapagtapos. That's my suggestion po, Chair Agrupis. I know, makulit po ako sa inyo, ilang beses ko na po ito nasabi, but we have until December to get it done, to really rationalize and make sure na malinaw at maganda po yung programa at nasa tamang halaga. Yung talagang makakatulong po na halaga para sa kabataan. Thank you po, Madam Chairperson.
Yeah, well noted, Senator, and then we will closely coordinating with Senator Loren and Senator Bam.
Did we agree on the amount para pareho na ang tulong dunong or ang SUC diretso? Iko-compute na lang. Kasi mas malaki ang tulong dunong, di ba?
No, mas maliit po.
Mas maliit ang tulong dunong.
15,000 per SEM ba yun o per year?
Hindi,
Per year. So
year
mas
yun
maliit
eh.
si tulong dunong.
Mas maliit si tulong dunong. 15,000 per year ang
Yes.
tulong dunong.
Yes.
Ang PNSL is 27. Now, ma'am ha, yung rate ngayon. Sa SUC, we have 20,000 per year. Sa PNSL, that is the private, we have 27,000 per year. For tulong dunong, they have 15,000
So
per
tatlo lang
year.
po yung tiering ngayon, 27, 20, and 15. But 7 years ago, that was 60. Di ba? Nung 60 po yan, alam ko po, marami talagang nakapagtapos at walang rason na mag-drop out. Ito pong 27, 20 at 15, sa palagay ko po, medyo mababa po talaga siya. Especially with kung gaano po kamahal ang presyo
That's
po ng bilihin
15
ngayon.
per year.
Yes.
So 7.5. Okay. And yung test, magkano?
20,000 po. per year. That is 10,000 per SEM, Madam
Yeah.
Chair.
So mas mababa nga ang tulong dunong.
Opo.
Kaya nga nagkakaroon ng comparison tuloy mga bata. Saan ka sa tulong? Hindi naman sa pangalan. Pare-pareho na lang kaya. Bakit ganun?
Yeah.
Di ba?
And kung
Whatever is best to our students,
Hindi,
Madam
yes.
Chair.
That's why
Pare-pareho.
sorry Madam Chair, I was asking earlier, yung distribution, kung lahat naman galing sa eskwelahan, di talagang parehas talaga dapat 'yan, di ba?
Either galing sa CHED na dinidistribute sa eskwelahan. Tama ba ho? Galing yung pondo sa DBM, hinuhulog sa CHED. Or from DBM to the SUC. Correct? But distributed in the university. Not in a different place, right? Or kung walang lugar doon, pwede sa isang multipurpose ng LGU. Ginagawa rin doon, di ba? Never in a private place. So, regardless kung tawagin natin tulong-dunong, lahat tertiary education subsidy ayon sa batas at standardized ang cost kung 20-20. So, 10-10, di ba? Para hindi may gap yung tulong-dunong, bakit kulang siya ng 5? Ba't binigay ni ganito lang? Di ba maganda lahat? Tataas lang yung inyong pangangailangan na budget dahil may gap na 5,000 yung TD. Tapos yung nag-amend ngayon sa House, dahil pupunta yung budget sa atin, kulang ng 5,000.
But even the 20,000, Madam Chairperson,
Kulang pa
I
rin
want
yun.
CHED to recompute. Let's go on needs-based talaga. Ano yung kailangan talaga ng bata para makapagtapos? Dr. Yipo is...
Yes.
Madam Chair, with your permission, just to share one of the findings we've done on this because we've studied heavily TES. Yung nangyari po, nung bumaba yung subsidy natin, yung amount na po na binabanggit na 20 or 27,000 for TES, lahat na po yun for tuition and allowances. Based on the tuition fees, average tuition fees, there are only 2 programs they can afford to enroll in. At pag nag-enroll sila doon, ubos yung buong 20,000. That's teacher education and criminology.
Wait, we're not talking about tuition here kasi free tertiary education.
For those
Libre na dapat ang tuition. These are over and above the tuition, di ba? Yun ang understanding ko.
Yes.
Hindi yan yung pondo na binibigay to fund the law.
Yes, ma'am. But that
Yes.
assumes that they all go to SUCs. So, kung pupunta ka ng hindi SUC, pupunta ka ng private kasi yun yung malapit sa'yo, yun lang din yung pondo mo, ma'am, for everything. Which precludes them from pursuing engineering, any program they might be good at. So, yun yung challenge po
Pag sa
talaga.
private, yung 27,000 includes the tuition.
Tuition and allowance,
So,
yes.
kulang pa yun sa tuition.
Wala talaga, ma'am.
Yeah.
Gusto mo na...
Wala
so because
talaga,
our
ma'am.
law is only free college education
In SUCs.
SUCs.
Yes, ma'am.
And
You-
LDs.
Well, to be fair, nung ginawa po yung batas, hindi lang po public ang nasa isipan ng mga legislators. When we pushed for the law, the private sector actually agreed to support the law because they knew that there was a corresponding budget for scholarships that would go to the private schools. Senator Lauren, if you remember, di ba, nung una, mahirap makuha yung private schools na sumang-ayon dito sa batas natin, but they eventually agreed because we said, when we looked at the numbers, marami ring kabataan na mahihirap na nasa private universities and colleges. At dapat mayroon na rin silang tulong. Now, sa totoo lang, just to complicate things further, ang hindi sinasabi ni Dr. Yi is that the support for students in the private universities, the PNSL, shouldn't be based on tests. It should be based on how much tuition the SUCs are getting from CHED. Kaya mahalaga po yung rationalization, magkano ba talaga yung full subsidy talaga na binibigay ng gobyerno per SUC because it's more than 20,000 per head. So kung talagang tapat tayo sa batas, ano ba talaga yung gusto nating ma-achieve, yung at the minimum, yung PNSL should be getting the same as the other SUC per capita or per head in neighboring provinces. And my guess is that it's more than 27,000 if we want to be very transparent with what the law says. Now, another thing about 10931, nasa batas rin po doon na si TES becomes the mother scholarship program for all the scholarship programs in government. So kapag pinag-isa po natin yan at ni-rationalize po natin yan, may legal basis po tayo. Because 10931 actually puts everything under this program. So wag ho tayo mag-alala na mag-rationalize tayo. But I suggest, let's look at the absolute number first. Apart from tuition, ano yung kailangan ng mga kabataan natin para makapagtapos? And then, sino yung categories of prioritization, which of course, 4 pieces there, etc., etc. And then, tingnan ho natin kung gaano pa kalayo yung gap. If you can give us this number, Senator Lauren and I and other senators, we will work on that number para maabot po natin yan.
It has to be within this, by next week, maybe in 1 week. You can give us the proposal because we have to hold also this, suspend this hearing, and we cannot tackle the third measure. We have a caucus at 12. Yes.
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
Dr. Agrupis, may group chat ba kayo? Meron naman kayong group chat, di ba? Pwede bang pag-usapan nyo yung group sa group chat kung itong mga numerong ito para when you come to us ay iisa na ang inyong
Senator
suhestyon?
Bam, maybe the group chat may not even be sufficient. We will make a TWG.
Okay.
We will have a technical working group, especially on this amendment to the Tertiary Education Act.
Yes.
We're not able to do on this test issue. Yes, so that the proposal will come from CHED, EDCOM will be there, and our respective staff,
Offices.
especially the Committee on Finance, and October 20 daw, yung TWG. But the third measure, I don't want to do TWG right away. We will have to hear it on our next hearing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So may I suggest when you come back to us, it's a number that you all agree on already. Nagkakaisa na kayo dito sa numerong ito. Kasi kami po, paglalaban po talaga namin yan. Yeah. We will really do our best to fund this properly. No? But we need to see the proper numbers, the proper basis, the proper logic dito po sa mga numerong ito. Yes, Secretary Kiko.
Mr. Chair, just to put on the record also, I think one of the recurring problems that both TESDA and CHED actually has, or has had, is that our academic calendar does not fit into the DBM's annual budgeting process. Therefore, when we do the allocations or the computation, there should be at least 2 things. One is an accrual method to see what kind of growth rate you would expect, whether this is growth rate in terms of tuition fee increases so that teachers in SUCs can have more salary increases or improvements in their capex and so on. And the second is a clearer provision that you follow the student, through the duration of their tertiary education program. I'm not sure what the DBM, what kind of chaos that might bring to the DBM's own internal processes. But those 2 things perhaps might need to be made part of the group chats or technical working groups computations.
This group will be part of it's like a hearing. It's just a technical working group so that even if Congress is off session, we're able to discuss this nitty-gritty and we're able to get a reasonable costing and your decision whether to proceed with simply tests or do we, because tulong-dunong is not a law. It is a GAA special provision. And it is a special provision for the congressional amendments. Yes, call it insertion, amendment. It's for the good of people. To be fair, it's for student beneficiaries na hindi covered ng listahanan. Kasi nga, sabi ni Senator Bam, mahirap pa rin, maski hindi na sa listahanan. So, on that note, I thank Senator Aquino and all of those who are present here today. First, we will no longer have a TWG for the extension of EDCOM. I would endorse the measure and draft the committee report to make it 3 years until 2028. I hope that the House version will be 3 years. Let's see if they agree. And second, we will convert this hearing, which we will suspend, into a technical working group. And the third measure, we're not able, we will do another hearing based on that. So I am grateful for all your contributions. It's always a learning process. We're lifelong learners, and thank you very much. Pero importante, increase natin, ha? hindi bababa sa meron na. At meron man pagkukunan dahil meron tinanggal na 255 na flood control at yung hindi flood control ay meron pa ring possibly overpriced projects na pwede naman scale down with the same kind of projects, then clear the fat, then we can put it in education. So I will help you in that. Maraming salamat po sa inyo. The hearing is suspended. Thank you.